Many murders occur with the influence of the internet. But is Cherie Miller the first woman to kill with the help of the World Wide Web? Recently wed to a successful businessman named Bruce, she had grown bored with his long and busy work schedule. So when he bought her a shiny new thing known as a personal computer, he had hoped it would help keep her happy. However, unknown to him, Cherie had learned of the new social messaging program AOL, and as she learned how to speak to strangers over the internet, her intentions moved from friendship to lust. She began to see men's affection towards her as a mere game, and in her own words, saw them as video game levels. But one particular man's love was not enough. She wanted to see how far he would go for her, with her final demand coming at the cost of not one, but multiple lives.
What the hell?
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, folks. My name is Adrian, and welcome back to Coffee House Crime. Today we're looking at the manipulative case of Cherie Miller. Now, the early days of the internet can universally be considered as terrifying. All you have to do is look at the likes of Facebook, Bebo, MySpace, and even early YouTube to see that. However, would you ever think that in its true infancy, the internet would play host to an entirely greed-driven murder? Before we sink our teeth into this one, and just to let you know that I post true crime and strange cases here weekly, so if that does sound like your kind of thing, please consider subscribing to the channel. And now, with that said, please grab yourself a coffee, pull up a seat, and get ready for the deep dive. This is the case of Cherie Miller. Welcome to the Wolverine State, folks. Or, for all of you international viewers, welcome to Michigan. Today, we're near the Motor City, also known as Detroit. It is put on the map for a variety of reasons, including being the home of Eminem and the Red Hot Chili Peppers frontman Anthony Kiedis. With the Detroit Pistons on the basketball court and the Red Wings on the ice, there is no shortage of interest to be found for those who are interested in sports. The more historically minded might be more curious to see the Henry Ford Museum of Innovation, or Soo Locks, where more than 10,000 ships pass through every single year. Focusing on our case today, we're honing into the city of Flint, located in Genesee County. It is found 66 miles southwest of Detroit, and the name may very well sound familiar. In the year of 2014, Flint saw a public health crisis, when high levels of lead contaminated the population's water supply, of course, thus triggering a local emergency. And although contaminated waters may have been a good excuse for the perpetrator's actions in today's case, it actually happened several years prior. But first, we must wind the clocks back to the 50s to meet our main man, Bruce. Bruce Miller was born in Flint on July 26, 1951. In his young adult years, he used to work at General Motors as a mechanic, before finally quitting to run his own scrapyard full-time. His business, which was named B&D Auto Parts, was located around 7 miles from his home. Working with cars, it is no surprise that, outside of work, he was interested in motorsports such as NASCAR and racing, and it seemed like every element of his life revolved around vehicles in some way or another. Despite the nature of his job leading him to carrying large amounts of cash and dealing with people from all walks of life, Bruce was considered to be a well-liked man and was very generous. Saying that, there were some ongoing investigations with the police after Bruce was caught tampering with some vehicle VIN numbers, but otherwise, he had never been in any real trouble with the police. Bruce was quite the romantic too, and found himself dating several women throughout his adult years. And although he would marry, this would lead to divorce twice. Now, unfortunately, we don't know too much about his previous partners. However, he would eventually meet a very important person to our case today, and her name was Cherie Kidley. Also born in Flint, Michigan, Cherie was born on October 13, 1971, and by her account had a pretty tough upbringing. Her mother went through men quite quickly, and would regularly have them passing through her trailer park home where they lived. Sadly, it is alleged that some of these men would also assault Cherie, starting from the very tender age of just 3 years old.
What?
Cherie's first marriage, which was at the age of 17, understandably failed. She would then marry again shortly afterwards, but this too fell apart, and needless to say, her life seemed to be relentlessly turbulent. Strange side note for a second, but Cherie liked to go by several names at the time. This includes Cherie Duval, Cherie Tribby, Cherie Paulette Duval, Cherie Paulette Kidley, and Cherie Paulette Tribby. At the young age of 26, Cherie was 20 years Bruce's junior. close to double her age in fact. And after meeting at a local event, she started working for him at his scrapyard, helping him with the general admin tasks required to run his business. Now, when she started working for Bruce, Cherie was already a single mother with 3 children, and in her spare time, she would sell cosmetics for Mary Kay as a side business. And although she began her time with him by doing his bookkeeping, that wouldn't be the only thing of his that she would get to know more intimately. At first, their work relationship remained strictly professional, but as the time passed by, Bruce and Cherie found themselves slowly falling for each other. This eventually resulting in the two getting married in Vegas in April 1999. As expected, and due to running his own scrapyard business, Bruce was often away from the family home. Cherie always helped out in the yard and looked after the kids while he was away. But as expected, this sometimes left her feeling both bored and alone. In an effort to combat her loneliness, Bruce decided to buy her a computer and then hook the family house up to this new strange system called the internet. Back in the day, it was still a relatively new system. The World Wide Web really was in its infancy, and platforms like AOL were only just getting started. And so, after being hooked up, Cherie found herself joining AOL chat rooms to keep herself entertained while Bruce was busy in the yard. Cherie admitted that she would barely get away from the computer. She spent absolutely hours on these chat rooms, speaking to total strangers online. And eventually, these conversations became more saucy. For Bruce, he seemed to enjoy the stability of his marriage. I don't think it's something he ever got before this. To add to that, he was probably quite flattered to get the attention of someone much younger than him. To be honest, it is probably why he put up with so many terrible habits and behaviors. According to acquaintances, Cherie often flirted and acted single online, and the sources available are rather split on if Bruce knew about this or even how much he cared. Now, it was in his interest not to rock the boat too much. He loved his wife and the stable marriage she maintained, and was working towards adopting her 3 children. Now, this was in Cherie's interest too. I mean, she clearly loved his money and the lifestyle it could provide for her. I do say this because not long after they tied the knot, she maxed out several of his credit cards. And even if it did bother him, he didn't complain or even let it show. To put things short, their relationship was wild. They would be business owners in the daytime, managing both the scrapyard and cosmetic side business. And after sunset, they would, quote, do it naughty at night. It was against this background of relative marital bliss that Cherie's online world began to form. And as her confidence on AOL grew, so did her spiciness. Most of her conversations were with men, and most of them turned highly suggestive. To be honest, it is no surprise why. Her various usernames included Horny7421, Love Me Slowly, and I Want to Be Laid. Through her online escapades, she remained totally disloyal to her various connections. She constantly latched on to new men when she got bored, beginning the flirtatious cycle over and over again. And in her own words, she described her actions as just messing around online just to figure out something new to do. Perhaps a slightly more sinister undertone, but she also described her online actions in the following way. It was like a video game, and each man in each relationship was another level to me, and each level was harder. It was seeing how much I could get away with, how much I could make somebody believe. And this cold-hearted way of thinking would send Cherie on a very dark path. It was during one of her marathon internet sessions that Cherie met a new user who went by the name of Reno News. This was the screen name of Jerry Cassidy, a former police officer living in Reno, Nevada. Within a very short amount of time, Cherie and Jerry had fallen for each other. It seemed like Jerry was very special too, because not long after flirting began, they changed their names to match one another, Cherie naming herself as Jerry's Fool, and Jerry as Cherie's Fool. Their online conversations included the full spectrum of content, from flirting, nudes, and sexually charged emails, all the way to videos of Cherie performing explicit actions on herself. And remember, all of this happened in 1999, so the process she had to go through to do this was pretty cumbersome. Born on October 6, 1960, Jerry was raised in Kansas City, Missouri. From a very young age, he was an avid hunter. He also had ambitions to join the FBI, a dream that he worked towards by joining the police force.
I knew all along it
Jerry
was all
worked for 9 years as a homicide detective, rising through the ranks to lieutenant. However, towards the end of his career, it all seemed to go wrong. While working on one of the cases, Jerry discovered some falsified documents in the department. Clearly, this was an inside job where someone had tampered with the information. And so, Jerry did what every good cop should do. He reported it to his boss. But sadly, everyone in the department found out, and he became known as a whistleblower. And just like that, his career was put up in flames. Colleagues made it clear that he was no longer wanted there, and after being demoted, he then decided to leave his job in 1994. Unfortunately, this led Jerry down a very dark path. He began to abuse alcohol and drugs and found himself battling depression. And not long after this, his wife divorced him, which also led to him losing visitation rights to their son. Eventually, Jerry got his life back together, starting work as a security officer at Harrah's North Kansas City Casino and Hotel. By the year 1999, he had moved to Reno and began to work at another one of their casinos. It was during this time that Jerry found Cherie online. How do you do quickly became what are you wearing? And soon after, they moved their relationship from the internet into the real world. Using her cosmetic side hustle as an excuse, Cherie often flew out to Reno to see him, with her first trip happening only 3 months after marrying Bruce. And rather than treat this as a passion-filled affair, she saw all of it as a sadistic game. Cherie's effect on Jerry became very obvious to those who knew him. People described Jerry as almost bipolar during this time. He was very ecstatic when she was in town, and morbidly depressed when she was away. It didn't take long for the evil manipulation to begin either. By September, she claimed that she was pregnant with his child, when, in reality, she wasn't pregnant at all. But just as fast as she claimed pregnancy, she also claimed to have had a miscarriage. And the reason for this? Apparently, Bruce had beaten her up. In reality, none of this had happened. Bruce was a hard-working family man, not some sort of dangerous psychopath that Cherie had made him out to be. But Jerry didn't know that, and he was absolutely furious. To him, the loss of his unborn child and his love being in an abusive marriage was all too much to bear. But it wasn't all that easy, according to Cherie. She told him that Bruce had very powerful connections in the mafia, and he had too much money and influence to ever let them walk away. Just 1 month later, she was supposedly pregnant again. However, this time it was with twins, and she had scans to prove it. Just a side note, but in 1995, Cherie had tubal ligation, meaning she could no longer have kids. Of course though, she didn't tell Jerry this. But disaster was about to allegedly strike again, because on November the 5th, 1999, Jerry found a chilling email in his inbox. And this email was apparently from Bruce. The email read, "Cherie is growing fat with 2 bastards in her. She has decided she doesn't like the excess weight and is going to get an abortion." In a panic, Jerry tried his hardest to get in touch with Cherie. Filled with worry, he received an email from her later that day saying that she was going away for a few days and would speak with him shortly. The very next day, another email from Bruce landed in his inbox. This one said, "Well, Jerry, she told me to let you know that she would be home soon. I think the abortion went fine. She sounded like she felt better knowing she wasn't having any more kids. Thank you for making my relationship with my wife better." After receiving staged photos of Cherie covered in bruises, Jerry slipped into an uncontrollable rage. This was the last straw for him, and so he began to formulate a plan. After re-establishing contact with Cherie on the next day, November the 8th, the two spoke about what they believed was the only solution to their problem. And although any normal or more rational couple would consider taking this case to the police, as you can likely guess, these two didn't. And the answer to their problem? Well, murder. When planning how to confront Bruce, they strategized directions, parking locations, and even the best place and time to enter the scrapyard. And in a growing surge of rage, Jerry then made the long drive from his home to Michigan. It was later that evening, as Bruce was preparing to close up the yard, that he received a phone call from Cherie. As part of her plan with Jerry, she called him to ask if he could grab a pizza before he came home. And after a few minutes of talking to him, that is when the line suddenly went dead. Jerry had pulled up outside of the scrapyard office, entered through the back door, raised his 20-gauge shotgun to Bruce, before finally pulling the trigger. He then made his way back home. Cherie waited a while until she started the next part of the plan. She called Bruce's brother, Chuck, to ask him if he had seen him. Bruce hadn't returned home yet, and she was getting quite worried. Chuck and his wife then travelled to the scrapyard, which, of course, is when they horrifyingly found Bruce's body. The couple then dialed 911 immediately.
County 911. Yeah, I need please an ambulance at D&D auto salvage. My brother-in-law owns it, and he's laying on the floor, and there's blood. Okay, is he breathing? I don't think so.
Where is he bleeding from?
It looks like from the head. And he's cold.
Chuck and his wife were distraught, and apparently Cherie was too. However, despite the quick discovery of the crime scene, no signs or evidence of the suspect was left behind. The killing went unsolved in the immediate aftermath, and at the time, there were no signs that Cherie had anything to do with her husband's murder. No forensic evidence was left at the scene, and it is quite likely that the reason for this is because of Jerry's intimate knowledge of homicide investigations. It was noted that Bruce's wallet was missing, and this was likely taken by Jerry in an effort to dupe police that this was a robbery. And get this, but officers even suspected the wrong person. An old friend of Bruce's named John Hutchinson, and he found himself directly under the spotlight. Not only was John a former employee who owed his boss more than $5,000, but he was also Cherie's ex-partner. To add to this, he had a weak alibi and he failed a lie detector, so it is no wonder why police had their suspicions. As a result, he was interrogated before all of his guns were seized, but with no concrete evidence, he was eventually let go. And after that, the case went cold. Even if Cherie's behaviour following her husband's death was deemed as appropriate by officers, many eyebrows were raised when she was seen out partying shortly after his murder. With thanks to a life insurance payout, the quick sale of his business, and their joint bank accounts, Cherie had a substantial amount of money to burn, and apparently, it seemed like she was in a hurry to do so too. In between all of the dancing, drinking, and cash splashing, she also invited her new boyfriend to the home that she once shared with Bruce. But rather surprisingly, it wasn't Jerry. Jerry and Cherie's relationship suddenly froze after Bruce's murder, and that is when Jerry realized that she had fallen in love with yet another man. Jerry began to feel intense guilt after this, and reflected on the horrific crime he had committed with his ex-lover. With his background in law enforcement, he was well placed to review and realize the truth. Unfortunately, he was merely a pawn in her game, and his emotions were manipulated in order to kill her husband. And that is when he suddenly realized that Bruce was, in fact, an innocent man, not guilty of any of the accusations that Cherie had fabricated. There was no abuse, no mafia connections, no beatings, and no babies either. And it turns out that the scans Cherie had as so-called proof were dated back in 1994. 3 months later, on February the 11th, Jerry Cassidy made the decision to take his own life. He was found alone in the apartment he had rented from his cousin, next to his .22 caliber rifle. Amongst his possessions were letters to his family, including a note and a briefcase which were addressed to his attorney, John P. O'Connor. Upon opening the briefcase, his attorney found clear evidence of the crime, therefore sealing Cherie's own fate from beyond Jerry's grave. And alongside the myriad of evidence, one note from Jerry read, "I drove there and killed him. Cherie was involved and set it all up. I have all the proof and I'm sending it to the police. She will get what's coming. I have been so stupid, but now you know the real story of why I went into such a state of depression. Because I just couldn't tell anyone the truth. She wanted all the money and no more husband. Well, she got her wish, but she is soon to learn that she can't do that to people. Now I know it was all lies and games from Cherie. She didn't care what it took or who she hurt to get what she wanted." Following this shocking discovery, Cherie was quickly arrested and charged with second-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Her trial began 10 months later on December the 12th. And with the strange internet-based nature of her crime, public interest was abnormally high. She proclaimed her innocence throughout her trial, with her defense team suggesting that Jerry had fabricated his evidence against her because he couldn't handle his own guilt. They also tried to pin the blame on John again. Poor guy. During her trial, 2 officers role-played the chat logs of Jerry and Cherie. The chat logs, which were recorded on the day of the murder, said, "Jerry, I'm scared. If this don't work, he will hurt me bad. It will work. What is the fastest way into the yard from 75? 75 to Mount Morris Road exit. Listen to me. I'll call Bruce at 5 PM. Okay, is the gun loud? Somewhat. Just do it and get the hell out of there. I want him to know who I am. Jerry, please. He will know, but not for long. Are you going to be able to live with this for the rest of your life? Because I can. I love you. Yes, I can. It was noted that, just one day after murdering her husband, Cherie called America Online to change her first name, last name, and street address. And after she learned that Jerry had taken his own life, she did the exact same thing again. To no one's surprise, this case was a slam dunk in court. And after just 2 days of deliberation, the jury came back with their verdict. Cherie Miller was found guilty of the second-degree murder of her husband. And on January the 9th, 2001, she was sentenced to life in prison. Cherie's defense had several complaints about the trial, one of them being well-founded. It was argued whether Jerry's letter could be used as admissible evidence by the prosecution. And surprisingly, this concern held so much weight that 7 years later, in 2008, the judge ordered a retrial. As a result, a federal court judge ordered that Cherie was released from prison in July 2009 until her retrial. For more than 3 years, she walked the streets without any restrictions whatsoever, and was even allowed to use the internet and dating websites. Understandably, many people were furious, especially the families of Bruce and Jerry. They all felt that she'd been let off the hook due to some ridiculous technicality. But thankfully, in August of 2012, the district court reversed that decision, and as a result, Cherie was sent back to prison and has been there ever since. During her freedom, Cherie had the time to reconnect with her then teenaged children. It does seem that some positivity came out of her freedom here, because through their special time, she realized that her actions had robbed other families of this feeling of reconnection. In April of 2016, Cherie made a 4-page letter confessing that she was, in fact, guilty of orchestrating the murder, which was something that, to this point in time, she had absolutely denied. She claimed that the reason it took so long for her to admit guilt, which essentially waived her right to ever appeal again, was that at the time of her initial trial, she was being advised not to admit it. Her attorneys have unequivocally denied this. Had they known that she was actually guilty, they would have advised her to accept the 15-year plea bargain that she was offered. And just for reference, she has now been behind bars for more than 20. Despite remaining in prison, Cherie has still managed to get married for a 4th time. This was to a man named Michael Denoyer, who saw her story on the news and became obsessed with her. He even proposed to her the very first time they met. Now, theoretically, this case could be known as the first online murder, or at least the first murder to occur through instant messaging like AOL. Arguably, this is the first time that chat rooms and the internet became the focal point of a murder case, which is quite interesting when you think about it, because nowadays it happens much more often. In the early days of the internet, most people didn't realize how permanent their messages were. For example, with Cherie, she had no idea they were recoverable. It also showed the true danger of chatting to strangers online, and how much it could affect your life, or even your death. Bruce Miller was the victim of these realizations, a man who lost his life through no fault of his own. He found love with Cherie only after employing her, and to begin with, he was merely helping a single mother of 3 children. When they fell for each other nearly 2 years later, he was absolutely smitten. He agreed to legally adopt all 3 children and give them a home. All in the meanwhile, Cherie was sleeping with other men behind his back. Although Cherie's computer would be considered prehistoric in today's world, it would have been extraordinarily expensive at the time. Despite the heavy price tag, Bruce bought this for his wife, under the impression that she would use it to better her business and keep her happy. At best, it was a boutique business, but in reality, it was probably a money-losing operation or a pyramid-type scheme. Yet, despite this, Bruce paid out to make it easier for his wife to sell her products. But instead, she was using it to plan his death. She had already realized that divorce would not provide her with enough money, so she played with the feelings and emotions of a gullible man to do her bidding. And although Jerry is not innocent himself, he too got burned. Bruce was a good man who worked hard at his job and did everything in his power to make his new wife happy. He provided stability, financial security, and unconditional love. But sadly, his reward to all of this was murder in cold blood. And so, to conclude folks, be careful who you speak to on the internet. And I think that pretty much wraps up my case today. Thank you so much for watching another video today by Coffeehouse Crime. If you enjoyed this case or found it interesting, please remember to like the video and subscribe if you haven't yet. What are your thoughts on this case, by the way? I mean, it is pretty obvious why Cherie's behind bars, but do you think she should have got life? And what do you think about Jerry? Please do let me know in the comment section down below. Just a quick reminder that if you want to get early access to my videos, please check out my Patreon. And if you want to follow me on my adventures, please check out my Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And that is pretty much it for me today, folks. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon for another video.
Start ballin'. Hi. We're twins.
Why is her face all pink? Because she's an e-girl.
Duh.
You think you can whip out your anime for me?
Maybe. Maybe.
So can you, is it maybe yes or no?
Well, if you pour milk on your head, we will do it.
Pour milk on my hand?
Yeah.
I don't have any milk on me.
Your dad never came with the milk, huh?
Emotional, damn it!
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
What? Hey, don't look what I'm looking at.
What?
She speaks to the phone. She's trying to show her friend something. Bro, you're like 5 years old. Why are you doing this here?
What the fuck?
I'm just polishing my glasses.
Oh.
Wait, why are you dressed up like a girl?
Why are you polishing your glasses
my
next to your
gosh.
thingy?
And you are trying to confuse people.
Can you wish me luck?
Yeah, good luck. On what?
This
What?
kid.
No, I'm going. I'm going.
Hi.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god! Dude. Say something again!
I will.
No!
What?
No, it's a me!
It's not. She's lying. She's lying.
Please say something normal, please.
I am. That's how I sound.
No, you're not! Can you please say something, make my day better? My dad died yesterday.
Oh, mine died 3 years ago. You're laughing at my dad dying?
That's just sad.
I said that my dad died and they're laughing like
Oh
there's
my
no tomorrow.
gosh.
Yeah, I know. That's sad.
Bro, do you have fake?
No, it's my chest. I'm just really
Take
good.
off your shirt! Take off your shirt!
That escalated quickly.
You want me to strip?
Yes,
First you laugh at my dead father and then you want me to take off my clothing. Just like you took off my innocence after laughing at my loss. They
Take
still
off
are.
your clothes!
And they still are.
Have you ever seen Ratatouille?
Yeah.
Do I look like the chef or the rat from Ratatouille?
The chef.
Both.
What the hell, man? How do I
I'm
look
sorry.
like that?
You look like if the rat and the chef had a baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hi.
He likes you when he
What?
does that. He
No,
likes girls.
no, I never said that. Are you guys gamers?
Yeah.
Of course, they're waifu girls.
No, wait, don't do the wifey girls.
But we are.
Got him!
That's a man. Hey, what's the other one? If you a man, then what's the other one? I didn't hear her verse.
There's two of
Hello?
you.
Yeah. Hello.
Hey, listen, we might as well chat about penis sizes though. How
At
long are
least
yours?
we show our faces.
At least you show. You're a cat. Don't talk to me, bro. Before I throw some meow mix at you.
Cats are cute.
Meow.
Let's compare sizes. I'm tired of this meow meow shit, bro. Let's talk about men shit, bro.
I have 7 inches, but you're black, so I'm afraid to compare.
You don't have 7 inches.
I do
Maybe
have
your
7
brain is
inches.
7 inches horizontally wide. Nigga, you got cat hairs on. Smile, break it, yeah, bro. Break it.
Yeah.
Exactly. You look like SpongeBob, bro. You square as shit. Come on,
Not
gang.
square, I'm triangle,
You
you
built
see?
like a fucking square. You're a grown man in a sports bra.
Bro,
Come
how is
on,
this?
bro.
How
Do
is this
better.
square? Can you show us how you're built?
Is SpongeBob actually? You're SpongeBob, bro. You can see how I'm built. I'm built like a
He
man.
doesn't
You're
want to
built like
show because he
SpongeBob.
doesn't
I
have
look
muscles.
way more triangle than you, that's the
My
first
dog,
thing.
my dog can beat your. You're
He
built
doesn't
like a
show his
square.
muscles because he doesn't have any.
Yeah, he's actually looking kinda fat, not gonna lie.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
also
No,
really
no.
scared to show his
What
face.
the f is that?
You're in cat ears.
So, you're wearing a
Son, you're
mask.
a man. If that's your girlfriend, she got you whipped, bro. She
Dude.
did you dirty. You need a real woman. You're
He's
a grown
boring
man.
as fuck.
Bro,
Boring
you're
as
little
fuck. Hey,
covering
listen, bro.
everything.
There's
Damn.
7,000 people watching you right now cooking you.
oh, and what's the name?
Wavy goes.
Go square. To the gym, definitely
You're
not.
built like a square. You can't be a 170-pound square built body, but you gotta eat some more. Hit the shoulders. Make sure you do some
Bro.
compound. No,
Bro.
you're making it worse. You're
Bro,
built
how
like
am I
this.
square?
You're
How am I
built
square?
like this. You're built like this.
You definitely
Come on,
don't
gang.
understand how shapes work.
Because I'm actually super close to nuking your country. Because you don't.
Oh my god.
Where is it located at?
Wait.
Wait. Yeah,
hold on.
wait. Military, real men. Yes, military. Where are you at?
Wow, you have
At
been
your-
to
yes,
military.
at your-
Wow, really
Meow,
impressive.
meow. Where you, and you got stockings on your wrists? Okay, I gotta see the whole fit. What are you wearing on your feet? What are you wearing, bro? I need to know.
Socks.
Can I see? Military, real men, yes.
Why are you
You
gay?
might as well go. You got this far. I need to see.
I mean, fair enough, but do you want my Instagram?
I gave you my socials. You can look me up.
Instagram. 2000! Can you shout me out, please?
I definitely do. What's your name? I'm gonna shout you out.
Shout me out.
You have ooh on your name? Oh no. Hold up. Oh, I can't type. Okay, I saved it. It's no way.
Yeah, Hafu, why wouldn't
You being
I?
dead ass.
I'm
Do
being
you
that
wake up?
donkey.
Wait, hold up. Do you actually dress like this, or are you just on it for this?
I actually, what do you mean?
Keep it
Check
above.
my Instagram. I'm
about to
gamer
check right
girl
now.
full time.
I'm about to check it right now.
Duh.
You're an OnlyFans person?
Of course.
You sell your body?
Of course.
And you're talking about me?
Yes.
You have a price tag. You're a guy.
So,
That's disgusting. Wait, hold up. Okay, wait, hold up. That's disgusting.
you sound like somebody who would like to see free, you know.
Oh no,
my-
bro!
my
Oh
gifts
no,
for free.
I do it the right way. I do it the God-fearing way. You are, bro. You know who Jesus is? I need to teach you, cause I'll be doing everybody a favor if I didn't teach you. Jesus died for you. He loves you, and I hope that you find him one day in your life. I'm gonna drop it in the Discord so they can look at it and see what I'm talking
Of course,
about.
I'm
But
4 out of 4, bro.
I mean, 4 out of 100? I'm gonna drop this in the Discord. They'll comment on your recent picture, and they'll probably forget about you. But if we do cross paths one day, I hope that you find God in your life and this pink
I
stuff
have
can
only
happen.
one question.
What the fuck?
Since you gave me your name, you're streaming or recording or whatever the f you're doing, why are you wearing a mask? That's what I don't get.
Oh, you'll find out soon.
Oh, really? Why?
It's 7,000 people watching. I'll probably forget about you, but
Hi. What?
Oh my god, you two look so gorgeous.
You too. You're holding microphone. What are you doing?
It's
What
my
was his
singing
name? Can you sing now?
Oh.
What? What was that guy's name? Let me see. Oh, what happened? Wavy goes. Let me see. Who's that? Dude, it's more entertaining to watch Vladimir than this guy.
it's 7,000 people watching. I'll probably forget about you, but
Hi.
Oh my god, you two look so gorgeous.
You too. You're holding microphone. What are you doing?
It's my singing mic.
Can you sing now?
Oh. Really? Oh. Yes.
Yeah, come on.
Never mind.
Why? Come on, I really want to sing. I wanted to hear some music. Now I will not be able to sleep without knowing what your singing voice sounds like.
Yeah, he said.
Why?
It's a man.
Are you guys twins?
Yes.
Did I
We
just
are.
AFK?
How could you tell?
I think I just did.
Oh my god, I love the
Whoops.
makeup. Oh my god.
Thanks.
Thank
Like-
you.
Yes, we're gamer girls.
Holy, what the hell is this?
What the hell is
What
what?
happened to your faces?
What happened to yours?
I'm natural.
Did you fall from the sky?
Yeah, I jumped from the sky and you jumped from the...
Yeah, because your face looked like a...
You landed on your face.
What the fuck is this?
What?
Hey,
What?
how are you?
Good you?
I'm fine, esqueci foto de dicker.
English. Do you speak it?
Oh, that was funny. Safe? Oh.
We rarely cover stories that are still developing because we like to wait to get all the information before we present the story. But when we heard about today's story, we knew right away we had to make an exception and post the story right now. The plot of this story you're going to hear today is so absurd, it just sounds like fiction, bad fiction, like badly written, unrelatable fiction. But
Happy.
Hey, would you be able to tell me how much you give me for this if I was to sell it?
Let's see.
It's a wide body one.
You're looking at getting 646.
Okay, cool. I'll keep that in mind. Thanks.
No worries. just crashed. Hmm.
It's not fiction. It's true. It really happened. But before we get into this totally absurd story, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place because that's all we do, and we upload once a week. So, if that's of interest to you, please replace the like button's toilet paper with the kind that doesn't have a good seam on the outside, and you end up ripping it to pieces just to get it started. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. Okay, let's get into today's story. At around 9 p.m. on March 3rd, 2022, a 31-year-old woman named Corey Richens tucked her 3 young sons into their beds and then headed downstairs to her kitchen inside of her luxurious home in suburban Utah. Once she got down to the kitchen, she yelled out for her husband, whose name was Eric, to come join her in the kitchen. Corey had some big news that she had just learned that day, and now that their kids were all tucked away in their beds and were off to sleep, she and her husband could celebrate this big news and share a drink together. A moment later, Eric walked into the kitchen and Corey grinned at him and handed him his drink and then gestured for them to go upstairs to their bedroom. And so the two of them went upstairs, they sat down on the bed, and then Corey broke the big news. Corey's tiny real estate company had just found out that day that they were very likely going to close on a deal for this gorgeous 20,000 square foot mansion in Utah for $2 million. Now, Corey knew once she bought this property, she could do a couple of renovations to it and then quickly sell it for $3 million, meaning she was about to make a $1 million profit. Corey had been working really hard on her real estate business for years, but this really represented the first big break. She and Eric lived in a very conservative part of Utah where it was kind of expected that someone like Corey would stay home with the kids and be a good housewife, and that would be her life. But Corey didn't really want that. She wanted to have a professional career that was kind of on par with her husband's. Eric ran a very profitable masonry company that allowed the family to take vacations to Mexico and Spain every year, and also to afford their sprawling property at the end of the cul-de-sac. Corey had stayed home when the 3 boys were much younger, but now that they were 5, 7, and 9 years old, they had decided to hire a nanny, which had allowed Corey to finally go out and pursue her professional dreams. And so, totally beaming with pride, Corey sat there on the bed and clinked her husband's glass and went over all the details.
Yeah, just weird, Raven, that you left me streamless for 4 hours this morning while I was working. Well, guess what? I went to watch Barbie. I went to watch Barbie at the cinema, so I wasn't here. Plus, I was at work too this morning. Oh yeah, I was scheduled to work this morning. I was like, what the heck, boss? Why am I working on a Monday? And then he's like, oh, because yada yada yada. I'm like, I hate working Mondays. Like, I really do. But yeah. But yeah.
details of this deal and talked about how great their lives were about to become with all this additional income. But fairly quickly, both of them decided they were too tired to stay up and celebrate any longer, especially Eric, who earlier that day had gotten an allergy shot and it had totally knocked him out. He was feeling kind of weak and tired, and so the two of them decided to just go to bed. And so after brushing their teeth and changing, they got into their bed, they turned off the light, and they were about to lay down and go to sleep when they heard their 7-year-old crying in his bedroom. And both parents let out a groan, and then Corey, she stood up, indicating she would handle this because they knew often their 7-year-old would have nightmares, and the only way he would go back to sleep was if his mom laid with him. And so Corey, she kissed Eric, and then as Eric rolled over to go to bed, Corey walked out of the room, she went down the hall, went into her son's bedroom, she got under the covers, and then before long, she and her son had fallen asleep. A few hours later, Corey suddenly sat up inside of her son's bed. It was about 3 a.m., and for a second, she couldn't even figure out where she was. The house was silent, it was totally dark, and she was confused, but then she remembered she had gotten up to tend to her son, and so she checked on her son, she saw he was still sleeping, and so she climbed out of the bed, she tucked him back in, she gave him a kiss, and then she left his room, went down the hall, and went back into her bedroom, where she climbed into her bed. And she saw that Eric had kicked off all the covers, and he was sleeping on his back. And so Corey laid down on the bed and kind of rolled up right against her husband, and she pulled the covers up over both of them, and then she closed her eyes to go to sleep. But right as she did that, she noticed something very strange. Eric's body felt freezing cold. Corey opened her eyes and sat up in bed. She turned over and kind of pushed Eric to see if he would sit up and figure out why he was so cold. But Eric didn't budge, and when she pushed him, he felt really heavy, like dead weight. And so suddenly starting to panic, Corey yelled Eric's name several times, but Eric didn't budge. And so Corey leapt from the bed, she grabbed her phone, and she dialed 911. And when the dispatcher picked up, Corey was so hysterical as she's looking at her husband lying motionless in his bed that she could barely tell the dispatcher what was going on. But finally, she did get it out to the dispatcher, and the dispatcher said, "Stay calm, the ambulance will be there as soon as we can." And so just moments later, Corey heard the sirens outside, and so she ran downstairs, she flung the door open, and practically cried with relief as the paramedics charged into the house. But when the paramedics got upstairs into the bedroom and they went to go revive Eric, they saw right away it was already too late. Eric was dead. First responders had no idea what killed Eric. He seemed like a really healthy, fit guy who actually just the day before had gone for a casual 8-mile run, and he was also this big outdoorsman, always going on hikes and going on these long hunts. And so the idea that this guy had just suddenly died seemed really suspicious. The police did find a painkiller pill bottle on the bedside table next to Eric's side of the bed, and for a second they thought, well, maybe he overdosed on painkillers. But when they looked at the label on this pill bottle, it was immediately clear that this was a really old pill bottle and almost certainly had been empty for some time. When they asked Corey what she thought might have happened, she was totally in shock, but she did say, I don't know, I have no idea what happened to him. But, the day before, he did get that allergy shot, and he had a kind of adverse reaction to it, and really wanted to go to bed quite early, which seemed odd. But both Corey and the first responders agreed that it seemed pretty far-fetched that an allergy shot would lead to Eric's death. Suicide was also considered a possibility by first responders, but Eric really didn't have any reason to want to harm himself. He was a very devoted and loving father who adored his sons. He coached all their sports teams and went on all these adventures with them and was always out back kicking a soccer ball around with them. And his business was booming, and he had just learned that night that his wife's business was potentially going to start booming as well. And so ultimately, the police told Corey that we're just going to have to open an investigation and try to figure out what happened, and we'll be in touch. And if you think of anything that might help the investigation, please let us know. And Corey said, of course, I'll tell you, but she really wasn't listening. All she was thinking about was her 3 sons who were still sleeping in their beds and had no idea their dad was now gone. Over the next few weeks, while the family waited for autopsy results, Corey really focused her energy on her 3 boys who were really hit hard by the deaths. Eric had been such a hands-on father that his absence was enormous in these boys' lives. The 5-year-old kept asking, "Where's Dad, and when can I see him again?" The older two boys, who did sort of understand that their dad was dead, would also ask questions like, well, can Dad still see us, or can Dad still hear us? And these questions broke Corey's heart because she did not have an adequate answer to any of them. And so she tried to find a children's book online and in bookstores that dealt with grief in hopes that that would kind of help her sons deal with what they were going through. But none of the books she got helped at all. And so a few weeks after Eric's death, when still nobody knew anything about how Eric died or what had really happened, Corey decided that she would take a different approach to helping her son's grief. Instead of trying to read a book that somebody else wrote about how to handle grief, Corey just called her sons around one night and began telling them a story about their dad. And as she told them this kind of made-up story about their dad being this angel that was taking care of them, she began drawing pictures with a crayon and paper of their dad with wings and a halo, and she'd draw the kids down below waving up at their dad, and she would tell the boys that your dad is an angel now, and he's looking down on you, and he can hear you, and he loves you. And this really seemed to work for the boys.
I've
it was
heard
like
of
the
this
first time since his
story.
passing that the boys kind of connected with the fact that their dad was gone, but they still had this meaningful connection with him. And so very quickly, Corey's stories about their dad and the illustrations that would go with them became a ritual. Every night, Corey would tell these stories and draw these pictures. And so, as the days and weeks went by, with still no word and no closure about what happened to their dad, Corey had a sort of epiphany. These stories Corey told her kids about their dad and how now he was this angel looking out for them, she could see firsthand how powerful it was and how really it was helping her sons cope with this loss. And she thought, why don't we turn our stories and all these illustrations into an actual grief book for kids? That way other families whose children are dealing with loss can read these stories as well and find some comfort. After all, Corey knew firsthand there really weren't any good grief books on the market. And so she knew for those that needed this, this would be huge. On April 13th, so 6 weeks after Eric had died, and several weeks after Corey and her kids had begun officially writing this kid's grief book, Corey was backing out of her driveway when from the other end of the cul-de-sac, she saw a police car coming down the way, and it was the lead detective on Eric's case, Detective Woody. It amazes me how many people tell me they have binge-watched all 300 plus of our YouTube episodes, and now they wait anxiously every single week for new strange, dark, and mysterious content. And while this is totally awesome and very flattering, I usually respond with, well, don't you know we have another library of strange, dark, and mysterious content outside of YouTube that can be consumed anytime you want? As of this moment, there are over 140 strange, dark, and mysterious tales on our podcast, the Mr. Ballin Podcast. We release 2 episodes every single week. On Mondays, it's brand new content exclusive to the podcast, and then on Thursdays, we upload remastered versions of our best YouTube stories. You can listen to the Mr. Ballin Podcast, available exclusively on Amazon Music with your Prime membership. If you're not a Prime member, you can still listen to the Mr. Ballin Podcast by subscribing to Amazon Music Unlimited in the Amazon Music app. As the detective came down the road, he was waving to Corey, clearly getting her to stop for a second. And so Corey, she parked her car, she hopped outside and went up to talk to him. And immediately, Detective Woody got out of his car, he walked up to Corey, and with a grave look on his face, he told her that he had some big news for her, and it was going to be pretty upsetting, but he knew he had to tell her in person and right away. He told her that the autopsy results were in, and they determined that Eric had not died of natural causes. He had actually died from a fentanyl overdose. Fentanyl is a very powerful opioid.
Hello. You want to try and sell your car? So we offered 244 for this. Yeah, no worries.
That's often mixed with heroin, and just a little bit of fentanyl can kill someone. And Eric, it would turn out, had 5 times the lethal dose of fentanyl in his system. Corey was totally shocked at this news and told the detective that Eric didn't do drugs. The only drug he did was periodically he would eat a marijuana gummy before bed, but that was it. So this really didn't make any sense. The detective was respectful and kind of nodded his head and said, I totally understand that, but you know, these are the results, and we need to find out where he got fentanyl from, and so we're going to need to search all of the electronic devices in your house to see if we can find communication between your husband and whoever got him the fentanyl. Corey told the detective that of course they could do that, but as she began thinking about all of their devices, she suddenly remembered that Eric's business partner, Cody Wright, had actually taken Eric's laptop very shortly after Eric had passed away. Now, Corey didn't know why Cody had taken the laptop, but Cody had been a thorn in both Corey and Eric's side for several years now. Eric and Cody had been very close friends when they had started their masonry business together about a decade earlier, but they'd had a serious falling out a few years back. The two men had been on this elk hunting trip, and at one...
Are you still here? I'm not that home.
What am I supposed to do with this game? Ah, okay. Let me get some take. Okay. I will pause this for now. Oh, it's another worker.
Let me pull my face up and
It'd be so heartbreaking if you decide to steal the customer that just came in.
we've only got max 20.
At one point, Eric had illegally shot and killed a bull elk, and Cody had actually reported Eric after this hunting trip to the game wardens. And as a result, Eric got in a lot of trouble and was temporarily banned from hunting anywhere in Utah. The two men still managed to continue to work together and build their masonry business, but it was very clear their relationship was totally fractured and would never be repaired. Now, Corey didn't get into all the details of the tensions with Cody, but she did tell Detective Woody that, you know, if you want access to Eric's laptop, you got to go talk to Cody because he took it for some reason. And also, you really just ought to talk to Cody in general because, you know, maybe he has more to do with what happened to Eric and this whole fentanyl thing than he's letting on. The detective told Corey that he appreciated the information and he appreciated being allowed to go in and collect all the devices, and that he would go talk to Cody and try to retrieve Eric's laptop. And then after that, the detective thanked Corey and said they'd be in touch soon. But after this conversation with Corey, the investigation into Eric's death kind of stalled out. When police did follow up with Cody, they didn't find anything really worth pursuing. And outside of talking to Cody, no new information came in about Eric's death or about, you know, his connection to fentanyl. And so really there was nothing for police to operate on. And so while the
What's up?
How's it going?
Nothing. Haven't had a customer since 3 hours? No.
Fucking hell, eh? That's a bit rough.
Well.
We're on my way.
Okay. Maybe I don't.
family just kind of waited for more information to come out about whatever happened to Eric, Corey just focused her energy on taking care of her 3 boys and writing this grief book with them. And finally, on March 5th, 2023, so almost exactly a year after Eric has died, and still police have no idea what happened to him, the grief book was finally done, and Corey self-published it on Amazon under the title, Are You With Me? And right away, the book was a total hit with parents of grieving children. And as the 5-star reviews poured in, so too did requests from local media for Corey to be interviewed and talk about this book and why she wrote it and how her kids are doing. Corey had no idea her book would be this successful, and so at first she was really terrified to do any of these interviews, but eventually she decided she would just say yes to all the interviews because she was very proud of what her and her kids had created, and she knew Eric would be proud too. However, what Corey didn't know was there was going to be a massive unintended consequence from publishing this book. Ever since Eric was found dead in 2022, the police in Utah began painstakingly searching all of the electronic devices that the Richards owned and that Cody, Eric's business partner, owned, and basically they were just looking anywhere for some sign of communication between Eric and whoever had given him the lethal fentanyl dose. And at some point during the search of all the
Let's see. Hello, how can I help you guys?
Hey, I'll have these guys first. They're here before me.
No worries, who needs help?
No, I'm just waiting for my money.
There you go. Just check that. That should have gone through now.
Yeah, all good. Cheers.
Fantastic, you're welcome.
The beer 400 in there,
What have you
please.
been up to?
Be a 400?
Yes, please.
Absolutely nothing. Keep it every single time.
Pardon?
Let's
I
just
keep
go
head
grab it up
popping
first.
everywhere.
Oh, do you? Oh, that's
Yeah,
not good.
My brain's going through a lot right now. I know I've done everything so far.
Yep,
I'm just
yep.
chilling around now, waiting to see what I do next.
Yeah, nice.
Still
You
waiting
caught up
for
with
my
Tom?
car. No, not yet.
No?
This is my first one back since
Oh,
This
yeah.
one?
Yeah, since the other
Thursday
day.
last week.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yep.
Yeah, I
He was
like
shocked
buying
when
them.
you were here. He's like,
Yeah.
what? Are you sure it's the right
Easy.
person? I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm telling you, he was here. I saw him.
Was he in the city or was he just...
No, I emailed him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like his look.
I don't think I've talked about much around Tom in city.
Yeah, well, Darren went and got an EMS job, and
Yeah.
then so he used to be Papa Woody, but we all bullied him until he changed his name. Because I said, there's no way I'm running around calling you Papa. I said, that's just freaking weird considering you're my brother.
Are you able to get it towed to my
I said,
garage
that's
for me,
very,
please?
like, that's very hillbilly
Okay,
fucking,
thank you.
back west toothless,
Yeah. Yeah, true.
You know what I mean?
I mean, she sits right next to me and plays her games as well.
Yeah, exactly. So,
She just doesn't know I play this at the moment
yeah, it doesn't matter.
because she hates it a lot.
It's not, oh, dude.
But you know,
dude,
what? I honestly don't
yeah.
care.
Yeah.
She finds
I
out.
mean-
She finds out.
But I mean, it's why does she hate it? Can you explain?
She's got past trauma and stuff from ex-boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
So it's
That-
got a lot of the
That's just fucking backwards. Anyway,
yeah. It's weird.
yeah.
I don't
that's
fully
okay.
understand it,
I mean,
but
she can always just put her headphones on and like rock out to Frogger or whatever the hell she plays. What games does she play?
she plays Overwatch
Overwatch.
and Minecraft.
Yeah. Well, she can just concentrate
Yeah.
on that while you're doing your thing. It's not like you got to get into anything extremely violent. You know what I mean? Steal some
Yeah.
cars, hang out with Tom.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Just chilled stuff.
Yeah, she's at work at the moment. She's got work fucking 4 days this week. Or some, can't remember.
Where'd she get a job?
There's a new Boost Juice open down like 30 minutes away from me.
Yeah, mad.
So she
got a job
applied
pretty
for
quickly, didn't she?
it. She did get one.
Mm.
They're called Miami Bakehouse. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
they're only in Western Australia, but
Oh, okay, okay.
she didn't like it. It was full
Yep.
of just like rats and stuff, and
Yeah, yeah, fair.
it was too far. It was like 45-minute drive or something.
Yep.
So she'll be getting
What's up, boss?
more
You
fuel
know
than getting
me?
more money.
Oh, yeah.
So she quit that one, and then that's the next one she got. But she applied for so many jobs, but she didn't get any.
It's
I'm
hard.
applying
It's
for so
hard,
much,
man.
and I can't get any.
Yeah, yeah.
But knowing me, I've got no experience
Yeah.
for anything.
Nothing much, just, you know, chilling.
Yeah, the market's not
Processing
easy
a
when
shit
it
ton
comes
of
to getting
stuff.
jobs and whatnot. Especially if you're in smaller
Playing
towns.
Dragon Quest V on the side.
Or even the larger towns even, you know what I mean? Like Gold Coast.
YouTubing.
Like trying to get a job here is crazy because you got 20 people going for the same thing. 30 people.
Yeah, I think there's one job I was interested at the Good Guys, and I think 64 people went for it.
Jesus Christ, that's crazy.
Yeah. And then like I saw I'm like, okay, I had no chance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, just you gotta apply anyway, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Got a farmer's market one going, I've got a clothing one going, Connors.
Yeah, yep.
How are
and then
you?
there's one more, but I've kind of forgot what it was. I think it was Harvey Norman or something.
Cool.
But that's about it. Now I'm just trying to make some more money. Sitting on, what am I sitting on? 405?
Nice, nice.
I've made 400 grand in
Hmm.
4 days.
You got more money in your pocket than Kenya here does in hers. You have like 374 or something.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to buy a 34. There's one
Yep.
in stock now, but it's just a complete stock one.
Oh, yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, so there's no point buying it.
No, God no. You'd
Unless
be
I had
better
more
off,
money,
You'd be better
yeah.
off going to PMD and grabbing a brand new one.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. Just to suss out
How
the
much is this one?
differences. Which one is it?
The stock 34.
379,000.
Cheaper
Yeah,
than
I-
PDM.
No, it's not too bad.
They're cheaper than PDM.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. It's cheaper.
Oh.
I mean, all used car dealers are cheaper than PDM.
Oh, yeah.
So, how many cars do you have?
0.
What happened to all your cars?
I sold them.
Why?
And then went crazy with money. And lost it all.
You went to the casino, didn't
Casino.
you?
I maybe spent 2.5 mil in 2
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah, yeah.
Made
Holy
profit, but kept going, and then lost
Yeah,
it all.
yeah.
And then
It's like a friend of mine
and then, yeah.
spent 13 million at the casino. I'm like, dude, you're an idiot. Like, what were
Oh,
you
what the
doing?
fuck?
What the hell are you doing? Like,
I've never had
why?
13 mil.
I fucking
good.
understand the process that goes through someone's head when they do that shit.
All I've got left are like Glendale Rumpo, car trailer, and a
Yep.
bike.
Oh, yeah, the
Fucking
usual.
car trailers are useless.
Yeah, no, they're pretty good.
Hello.
They're pretty good if you know how to use them.
Excuse me, how you going? How much would I get for my Bugatti out there?
You know what I mean? I'll tow the car
What is
to
the
P-
performance?
Yeah.
Max 20, I reckon, max 100, I can't remember.
That way, I've got the Cara with all the
Oh, let
with
me
all the
check.
parts
All
in
the
it.
parts, yeah.
Yep.
And then I've got the car on the trailer in brand new condition, so they don't have to.
You're looking at getting 3.3.
3.3, okay, no worries. Cheers.
There you go. The 34 is cheaper.
There you go.
You should hit Tom up for money. He's probably loaded. I think he's loaded now.
Loaded?
Mhm.
What does he do?
Diving. Lots of diving. He does.
Diving, yeah.
Yeah.
I would
Like
dive, but I don't have
when
a luck
he's- when
set,
he's-
so
yeah, yeah.
can't be bothered.
You don't need them anymore, bro. They've
You don't need
been,
'em?
No, you don't need them anymore. They've been made obsolete apparently.
Oh,
Mhm.
Did you find anything you wanted?
that's good.
Nah, that's alright,
Just
cheers.
the hunt, find the
worries.
hotspot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Ah, yeah. And then
Yeah,
everyone
that
just
doesn't-
chucks on Twitter, so then
Mhm. Usually they do.
you guys swim with all the fishies.
Mhm. Yep. Become little mermaids.
Little mermaids, getting all the loot,
Mhm. Yep.
clean the ocean, and then put them back in the ocean.
Well, now, there's a different way of doing it as well. So you know when you do car parts and you have to pick stuff up and stick it in your pocket?
Yep.
Same deal. But if your pocket's full, you can actually take stuff out if you find a hard case. So just say if you've got like 6 like of those little dirty crabs, you can drag them out, drag the hard case in, so you don't lose it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so you can empty
way
and fill
good.
your pockets the way you want to, which is good. While you're looking
Yeah,
at the
so you
item
can
you've
just
picked up.
yeah.
Yeah,
So you can just keep. Don't have to go back 24/7.
that's right.
So you get like full pocket and then go
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean, like, just say if you pick up a hard case, right? And
Yeah,
you've
yeah,
got 18 kilos in your pocket. What you can do is, before you stop looking at what you've picked up, you can drag the crabs out, and then drag
What's up?
and then pick up the hard case.
Good morning. You need any medical attention?
No?
Oh, that's cool.
I'm good.
No?
You
sure?
I'm sure. I should know my health more than I do.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yes, indeed.
And if I do want medical attention, it has to be a woman that touches my.
It's 2023, so depending on where my beard goes,
Where your beard goes, what?
yeah, I can transform. Sorry.
Dude.
Just in case, my name is KZ, paramedic 723.
Why KZ?
Hey, fuck off.
KZ.
The best.
Hey.
Oh my, the voice.
I'm
your
KZ.
Voice, oh my.
I'm KZ, I know. Fix it up, K. Ruskamard. Stupid ass. No,
Fuck
I'm
this piece of
Cadet
shit.
Paramedic Ruskamard. At your service?
Are you sure?
Okay.
Thank you. I just got lots of money. I'll just give you the phone number. that I've got. You got it?
Shift slow, is that why you guys slack?
6699.
Absolutely, it is. We've gone everywhere. No one wants patch ups. No one wants us. We're just exiled.
Wow. Tough.
There was 10 paramedics on too. Everyone flew out.
Thank you.
Come over here, I'll grab the card.
Now I need to patch up, Mr. KZ, please.
Already been killed twice.
Or should I say KZ?
Fuck off, you duck. You still buzzing?
Surprised I could hear you.
You're still buzzing.
It is now, yeah.
Wow.
What's the Gogi Bow? Fix your stuff.
Up the stairs to go to the boat area, and I ramped too hard. I bounced off the fucking tent thingy and fell in the water. And then the other one was like, I can't fuck. Because it blew up, and I was like, nope, can't do it. Fucked up beta shit.
How about now, mate?
Nah, I don't know what it is. It sounds like.
Yo.
cables
Hello.
or something.
Yo, can I sell the Hurricane Max 100 no brakes, please?
Yeah.
Well, I already got my jabs today, mate.
Come here, you dog.
Give me that shit.
Take his email spray, take him.
Yep.
He just took your
The
email.
smooth operator.
Oh shit! Go, 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 go!
Give me that.
Go on, Mick. Go! Make sure to devalue that car.
So the offers are 1,725,000. Oh my, they're driving.
What was that, sorry?
It was 1,725,000.
Yep, easy.
No worries.
Yo, locked on, that's my car, homie.
Alright, we could just do your bank details on the note. I'll go grab your funds. Are you related to Asa?
Yeah.
Okay. And Gus and Tom.
He's a sexy beast, isn't he? A sexy beast.
So there are now, what, 4 of you? Remhad?
Yeah, there's always been 4 of us.
There you go.
Thank you. I
Alright.
transferred in your name, yeah?
Yeah.
All done? Ah, that's what it is.
Yeah, if you transferred it to the EMS, we would have a problem. What's the plate? 9. Fuel. 101. $75 kg. Huh.
These devices, the police found something very unusual, and they knew it very likely had to do with Eric's death, but they didn't really have any evidence to prove that, and so they just had to kind of sit on it and wait to see what happened next. And what happened next was shortly after Corey published her grief book, it got all this media attention, and in turn, because of this attention, Eric's death, specifically the unsolved nature of his death, also got a lot of media attention. And eventually, several people who kept seeing all this news about Eric's unsolved death reached out to police and said, you know what? He did not overdose on fentanyl. He was murdered, and I'm almost positive I know who did it.
I am back.
And lo and behold,
I'm gonna sell this crappy
the
bike that I got.
alleged killer that
Okay.
all these people
What's
brought
that
up
from?
to the
Is it out front,
police
is it?
Yep,
was
the
the
green one.
same person that the police in Utah had become suspicious of because of all those unusual things they had found during their search of all of the electronic devices. And so, on May 8th, 2023, not long after getting all these tips about this alleged killer, the police in Utah felt like they finally had enough ammo to go after this person, and they headed out to make an arrest. While we don't know for sure what happened, because again, this story, it's ongoing. This case has not even gone to trial yet. Here is what prosecutors say really happened to Eric Richens on March 3rd, 2022, the night he died. That night, Eric was upstairs when he heard Corey down in the kitchen calling for him, saying to come down and join her. And so he went downstairs, he went into the kitchen, and immediately he saw his wife grinning ear to ear, and she promptly handed him a drink and said, I have big news and we're gonna celebrate. And after the two of them went up to their bedroom, Corey told Eric all about this big real estate deal and how their company was about to profit $1 million. And then after that, they clinked their glasses together, said cheers, and took a sip from their cups. The drink that Corey made for both of them was called a Moscow Mule. It's made with ginger beer, vodka, and lime. But when Corey mixed Eric's Moscow Mule, she added one additional ingredient, a lethal dose of fentanyl. It would turn out Corey had been stealing money from Eric's bank accounts, and he had found out. Eric also had discovered that Corey had been taking out these massive loans in their family's name, which Eric was really upset about. In fact, Eric was so upset with Corey that he wanted a divorce and was talking to a divorce lawyer and making sure after the divorce was finalized that Corey could not touch his money. But perhaps sensing that a divorce was imminent and the money faucet would be turned off, Corey simply took out a $2 million policy on Eric and then killed him. And then shortly after that, in order to help her sons deal with the loss of their father, who she killed, she wrote a grief book about it and sold it for a profit. Police say Corey had been working for weeks to figure out the right fentanyl dose to give to her husband. On Valentine's Day that year, Corey had given Eric a poisoned sandwich that had fentanyl in it that she attached a love note to, but it obviously did not kill Eric. He just broke out in hives. So Corey got a stronger dose of fentanyl, she put it in his drink on March 3rd, and this time it worked. The story that Corey told first responders when they arrived to hopefully try to save Eric was that, you know, they had had this celebratory drink and then they went to bed and then she had gotten up to see her son. And then, you know, when she came back at 3 a.m., Eric was cold to the touch and she called 911. But in reality, after she poisoned her husband and he's laying there still on the bed, slowly dying from this overdose, she just got up and paced around the house for several hours, Googling things like how to destroy electronic evidence and luxury prisons for the rich in America.
As well, and that's 2,661,000. And that's max 20 as well.
What do you say? You want that for your birthday, princess?
Oh,
this
is this a birthday present?
That's a while away. Jesus, woman.
I mean, you know,
like less than 30 days.
It's always good to be prepared for birthdays. You know what I mean?
Sure, but
he doesn't want it. Never mind. Thanks, you guys.
You're welcome. I mean,
I'll find something else. I'll find something perfect
I'll
for you.
contact my cousin and see if he's interested.
You know, you get him a little Toyota GT86. You know what I mean? Something he can, you know, drag around
It'd
in.
be awkward for me to own a car.
I see what you mean. I see your
So
hesitation.
my cousin might like it.
Yeah.
Have fun. Good luck. That's funny, guys.
Random.
Yeah. I mean, if you can't say yes straight away, it means you don't want it, yeah?
Yep.
These searches were, of course, the highly unusual and suspicious things that the police saw when they looked through all those devices during the initial part of the search. But as much as it made them think Corey likely had something to do with this, they didn't have enough to actually arrest her. However, after Corey published her grief book and went on this big tour promoting her grief book, Eric's family, who's watching this happen on TV and listening to the radios, I mean, they just couldn't take it. It disgusted them because they secretly believed that Corey had killed Eric over money. They didn't like Corey to begin with, and it just felt like she did this, and now she's profiting on Eric's death. And so family members began reaching out to police in Utah, and they said, you really need to look into Corey. We think she killed Eric. This whole grief book thing is a joke. She's a killer. Ultimately, it was those calls from Eric's family to the police, combined with Corey's very unusual and suspicious search history and electronic activity on the night that Eric died, that allowed police to arrest her at her home on May 8th, 2023. Corey, who denies any wrongdoing and says she did not kill her husband, is currently charged with aggravated murder, which could lead to the death penalty if she's convicted. She's being held without bail while she awaits trial, and her book, Are You With Me?, is no longer being sold on Amazon. On June 8th, 1989, in Pikeville, Kentucky, a young woman stood outside on the second-floor balcony of a motel room, smoking a cigarette and staring down anxiously at the parking lot below. A few minutes later, a little Ford Tempo car pulled into the lot, and the driver got out and started walking towards the first floor of the motel. When the woman saw who the driver was, she instantly flicked her cigarette and began charging down the outside stairs 2 at a time to go cut the driver off. Moments later, the young woman and the driver would be inside of that little Ford Tempo car together, speeding down a dark mountain road, screaming at each other about what the heck they were going to do now. What happened that night inside of that little car after the driver had finally pulled over on that dark road would be so rare and so terrible that the FBI would actually report that it literally, in its entire history, had never seen a case like this before. So that's going to
Surely
do it. If
you
got
would be
something out of
considered for
today's
murder
story,
based on my
be
search
sure to
history.
check out our podcast called the Mr. Ballin Podcast.
Are you talking about
where
my
we have
search
literally-
history? I mean, it's all on YouTube. It's not like I searched it on Google. That's funny. Is Raiken still lurking? Yo, Raiken. What do you Raiken has a lot to say about me watching stuff based on, you know, on true crime. Someone left this dog at the beach. Why? Oh, he's so cute. Reagan. Aww. What are you talking about, Ryan? I live on the other side of the world. How can I just, you know? You go missing, they won't suspect me out. My alibi is straight up, oh, I was in the States. I've been in the States. Never went to Australia. Guys are funny. Da 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 da. Dude. What's this about?
Commuting in our own car is becoming more dangerous every day. And thanks to social media,
I've seen a lot of this on TikTok, and I feel like it's very important to talk about because it brings awareness to what's happening. And you always think that would never happen to me until it happens to you.
chilling footage is constantly shared of what looks to be danger lurking in the shadows.
This is the third morning in a row I found one of these on her car in the exact same spot.
But are these just pranks? Overdramatic storylines?
I'm curious if this is a real threat. Have you experienced this? Or if you're law enforcement, have you heard any reports of this?
This is a fantasy fear-mongering scenario that's vastly overplayed.
Or are these eerie experiences too common to excuse as mere coincidence?
His dashboard camera recording Ivan Tukton was all alone on the Turnpike's deserted Newark Bay Extension Sunday night when the creepy encounter unfolded in an instant.
Another guy 2 cars down from me got out of his car and walked up to this man, and now there is 2 of them. I never saw the guy in the second car. That scares the absolute living daylights out of me.
Whether you're at work, running errands, or traveling,
Someone tell me what this means. I have no clue WTF she is touching my plates.
social media and law enforcement are sounding the call.
He's been in law enforcement his whole life, and you could tell when I mentioned that he got extremely silent. And he said, "What'd you just say?"
Deputies are warning people not to immediately approach their cars if they see some randomly placed money.
That you may want to double check your vehicle before you decide to drive straight home.
You are very, very lucky. This happens a lot.
Let's take a look at innocent
What the
things you may
hell?
see on, under or around your car that may not be so innocent after all, and learn what you should do in similar situations. There's a new hazard on the road, and it doesn't come in the form of black ice, potholes, or four-way stops. In fact, it's only when drivers unlock their doors, roll down their windows, or exit their vehicles that this unseen risk comes out to play. If you've been online lately, you've likely heard the stomach-turning stories of the traps that can allegedly turn a simple excursion in your car into a fight for your life.
I just came to Walmart and I pulled up and this car is parked here and the door is open. Nobody is in the car. The door is open.
And with paranoia for solo female drivers at an all-time high, it's no wonder that some have linked the dangers loitering in parking lots and on roadsides across America to the most notorious criminal trade of the past decade.
Immediately when I got in the car, I knew something was off.
Oklahoma City Police have announced 5 more arrests in connection to the missing Texas teen found safe in Oklahoma City.
Trafficking in persons, the growing underground criminal industry that profits off the sale of people, especially women and children.
What the what the fuck?
No limits, and will find victims
Oh,
and according to rumors circulating online, traps set in parking lots,
at
pit
least it didn't
stops, and roads
explode.
are just the latest way these criminals are forcibly recruiting targets into the trade. But if this is true, how are these traps being laid? Picture this. It's Sunday morning, just after midnight, and you're driving on a dark, desolate New Jersey turnpike when you encounter 2 pylons and a pulled-over vehicle on your horizon, a traffic stop. Or at least that's what 24-year-old Ivan Tuckton assumed when he came to a halt back in 2014. However, the third-year law student's initial impression quickly faded as a hooded figure stepped out of the darkness and towards his car.
What's going on? Can I help you with something? Yes.
Then, the stranger reached into their pocket, and as Ivan's dash camera footage shows, the driver didn't stick around to see what would happen next. Flooring the gas, Ivan weaved through the cones and sped away before eventually pulling over to inform law enforcement of the situation.
There is a car on the side of the road with phones that were in the middle of the street.
So what had Ivan stumbled upon in those early morning hours? Well, it appeared to be a fake roadblock, something the 24-year-old wouldn't have been the first to fall victim to.
They're coming! They're coming! They're coming! I'm gonna hit the ground!
The fuck?
And according to the logic of the internet and experts, Ivan had done the right thing.
If you see someone in distress, whether it's on the side of the road or asking you for help, keep the windows up, the doors locked.
By the time police responded to Ivan and another concerned driver's call, the cones were gone. The 2 men behind the fake stop, however, were still there. And while the suspects told officers they'd run out of gas, the way they were allegedly attempting to flag down help with pylons was deemed inappropriate and dangerous. Both men were arrested, one for DWI and the other for hindering. Still, what exactly had Ivan feared might happen on the dark, empty road that morning? Well, according to what he told ABC7, he wasn't sure. And that's exactly what made the encounter so unsettling.
You read about this stuff on the internet, people impersonating police, could have been a hijacking, could be a robbery.
Of course, some have used fake roadblocks for other purposes, including pranksters who are known to set up traffic traps to throw eggs and rocks at stopped cars.
Very silly behaviour by kids who probably don't realise the dangers that are involved in vehicles stopping on highways.
But while these fake stops are often shrugged off as practical jokes, anything that can potentially force drivers outside of their vehicles can easily be put to more sinister uses. And traffic traps aren't the only diversion that can leave drivers vulnerable. TikTok user Anna was in a parking garage when she noticed the addition of something new on the roof of her car.
What the f is that? What is this? What is this? Y'all, I don't know what it is, but it's kind of cute. So I'm keeping it. It's mine now.
A happy surprise, or so the TikTok user thought. However, when Anna posted her find, a friend reached out to warn her that this tactic was allegedly being used to distract drivers and provide an opening for abduction.
I thought about it and I was like, holy, like, you're right. You can hear a group of girls walking past me. So I wasn't alone at that exact moment, but 5 minutes later, 5 minutes earlier, like, I was walking out of work.
And if it's not the roof of a vehicle that can allegedly be tampered with, it's the windshield.
Well, a young woman's Facebook post is now going viral for an incident she recently experienced, which she says was an attempted kidnapping.
Just like Anna, this woman was leaving work when she noticed something on her front window, a shirt. But looking at her surroundings, which included 2 suspicious vehicles, she decided not to remove the top until she found a safe location. A good decision for anyone that might find themselves in a similar situation. And the driver's worry wasn't just instinct. She'd allegedly heard a warning that this trick had been used for kidnapping.
The abductor puts the shirt there, so you get out of the car, you have to remove the item from your windshield, they can come up behind you, kidnap you potentially.
And if a shirt doesn't entice drivers to leave the vehicles, another rumored criminal tactic might. On TikTok, one user caught an unknown man slipping a counterfeit $100 bill under her windshield wiper. And according to news outlets, this ploy wasn't just a one-time occurrence, but a trend.
Someone is putting counterfeit money under the windshield wipers of vehicles parked in driveways.
Still, the offer is tempting, and that's exactly what potential thieves are hoping for.
Becoming more and more popular because they know you're going to get out of your car to get that money, and then they are going to drive off with your car.
But sometimes it's not money on the windshield, it's a note. When TikTok user Kaylee left work around the holidays, she took a dark walk to her car located in the back of a parking lot.
I get in and I see a note on my windshield, and then I look over to my passenger side and there's suddenly a guy out there standing on my passenger side door. So I book it out of the parking lot.
When she got to a stop sign, she rolled down the window, grabbed the piece of paper,
and there was nothing on it.
So there it was, a chilling implication that didn't have to be written out. The paper wasn't placed there to be read. It was allegedly just a distraction. But these items left on vehicles aren't the only tactics social media has seen. TikToker Chrissy noticed a strange change to the outside of her Tesla and decided to check her dash cam to see if anything had happened. However, what the footage exposed provided more questions than answers. There in the video was a woman that Chrissy had never seen, circling her Tesla before reaching down to bend the vehicle's license plate. "Someone tell me what this means," Chrissy asked. "I have no clue why she is touching my plates." Another viewer was equally confused, but unlike the original poster, she had a theory.
Never got in a car accident ever. I've never hit anybody. But my car tag also bent. So y'all think someone tagged me?
Tagging. According to social media, it's a way for this type of criminal organization to mark the drivers of certain vehicles for future abductions. And various TikTok users believe they spotted this tactic in the wild, as videos have reported strings, markings, and tape appearing on vehicles, under the assumption these criminals are placing it there.
I start seeing like other girls' cars in Renton, Washington with this blue tape. There's definitely somebody out here watching us.
But according to social media, one method of tagging seems to have caught on more than others, and that's zip ties.
What does this mean? What does that mean? Please elaborate.
You know what they say about these? I've heard a few things.
I was doing my multi-point inspection and I went to go inspect the rear windshield. Just want to notice this, and we contacted the owner, and the owner had no idea it was on her vehicle.
Numerous TikTok users have reported finding these plastic cables wrapped around their doors' handles, windshield wipers, and outside mirrors.
I'm eating, not even here for maybe 2 minutes, and this is what I see when I look up getting ready to pull out. There's magically just a black zip tie now suddenly on my windshield. So I skirted back to campus and I alerted the security gate, and the girl was like, "Bro, that's sus as that's happened to me too."
Including one father who noticed a zip tie on his daughter's car not one morning, not 2 mornings, but...
This is the 3rd morning in a row I found one of these on her car in the exact same spot, back passenger door.
Still, it wasn't until the father spoke to his brother that he realized what the zip tie was rumored to signal.
He's been in law enforcement his whole life, and you could tell when I mentioned that he got extremely silent, and he said, "What'd you just say? Is this a tag?" And this alerts anyone who's part of the organization, I'll call it. Let them know that that person is vulnerable, they are by themselves, and they're an easy target.
But it's not just what tagging could represent that social media warns should frighten drivers. See, before you remove an item from your car, you might want to grab some disinfectant, or better yet, gloves. After all, according to an allegation from Houston woman Erin Mims, touching a napkin that was wrapped around her car's handle led to unforeseen consequences.
2 minutes later, my fingertips started tingling. Then maybe after about 5 minutes, my whole arm just started tingling. Then it started to feel numb. I got lightheaded. I felt like I couldn't breathe.
Despite only touching the napkin with her fingernails, Erin believed she'd been poisoned.
They drove to the nearest hospital where doctors ran urine samples, blood tests, and CAT scans.
Doctor came in and he told me, it wasn't enough in my system to determine what it was, but it was acute poisoning from, an unknown substance.
And with that claim, the criminal organization was quickly added to the narrative.
So pretty much what happened was this scoped her out, waited for her to go inside from her car so he could put some sort of substance on her door handle. Most likely it was to put her to sleep so that he could kidnap her.
Yet, not every suspected scheme involving a vehicle uses tags,
if you know, you know. We've all seen this.
chemicals,
You can't even go and get no gas. I told my job I can't even come in. Can't. This is crazy.
or other gadgets.
We saw this. They saw a car with 2 car seats and marked it.
Sometimes, it's just a gut feeling that something is off.
This is a tag for trafficking, and the W in this case stands for woman, meaning me. And that little dot right there is representative of my one son that is with me almost all the time. It was very sneaky. I had to get just at the right angle to see this. It was very sneaky.
TikToker Kelly Jean was leaving the mall with her daughter in tow when something in the distance caught her off guard. A man standing next to her car taking a phone call.
And I was like, that's kind of weird.
And while Kelly hoped her approach would signal for the man to take his conversation elsewhere, he wasn't getting the hint. No, the stranger appeared perfectly at home next to her car, even taking the liberty of running his hand down the vehicle. So, as a protective measure, Kelly called her husband, and when he didn't answer, she did the only thing she could, faked a conversation.
Like, oh, I'm out in the parking lot. I saw you just checking out. We'll see you out here in a minute, just to make it seem like I wasn't alone.
But this act didn't ward the stranger off either.
He was now maybe a couple feet from me, but never said anything to me. So I circled around to the back side of my car, opened up the passenger side super quick, got my daughter in, shut the door, and got in my driver's side, and then shut the door.
That's when Kelly's husband called back and she frantically described her surroundings and the man in front of her who was continuing to overstep.
As he was standing there and I was on the phone with my husband, I watched him take a picture of my effing car. That about sent me.
And it turned out the stranger wasn't alone, as a man 2 cars down from Kelly joined the man.
I never saw the guy in the second car. That scares the absolute living daylights out of me for so many reasons. How long was he watching me?
The two had a brief exchange and then left, giving Kelly the opportunity to drive to the other side of the mall and do the best thing a person can do in the situation: inform mall security and dispatch.
Be aware of your surroundings and always protect yourself and listen to your gut instinct, because us as moms and women are usually always right.
And according to the response of one TikTok user, the actions Kelly took that day might have saved her from falling victim to kidnapping for forced labor or services.
You are very, very lucky. This happens a lot. They take you to the port, load you up on a shipping container, and now you're in another country. That's how they're disappearing these people.
Other women have used TikTok to report similarly uneasy situations, like an Arizona woman who noticed a truck trailing her in a mall parking garage all the way to her parking spot.
They pull right behind my car, block me in so I can't get out, and are literally waving at me. They're literally waving like this with their windows down, both of them, and like saying something, and I don't know what they're saying.
Eventually, the truck stopped blocking her in and, to her horror, pulled into a spot near her vehicle. But when 2 men exited and began to approach her, she took that as her cue to go.
And so I literally back my car up as fast as I can and just get out of there. And then as soon as I do that, they walk back inside their truck.
Still, not every potential danger sets off immediate alarm bells. Sometimes these encounters appear entirely innocent until they aren't. In fact, Even one potential victim was confused about what she'd experienced.
I believe there was an attempt made on me to human me. I don't know for sure, that's why I want to talk about it and see if maybe anybody knows.
Hello, I'm flying out now. I'm almost done. I'm gonna grab some lunch.
Alright, sweet, not a problem.
See ya.
Good to see you again.
I'll catch you up next time.
Yeah, you shall, you shall.
Bye-bye.
Alright, look after yourself.
Two men and a woman exited the vehicle, and when the TikTok user passed them, she sparked some, well, unwanted attention.
The woman started calling to me. She was saying, "Hey beautiful, hey beautiful, hey beautiful." I just tried to ignore her, pretend like she wasn't there, but then I heard her getting louder. I turned around and she was about 5 feet from me. She had walked really close to me.
The woman had been following her, all seemingly to ask one pressing question.
She was smiling at me, and then she asked me if I liked perfume.
And if the TikTok user already felt uncomfortable, this question was a glaring red flag.
I had seen a TikTok video of a girl talking about how a woman approached her and asked her if she liked perfume, sprayed her with perfume, which turned out to be chemicals, maybe chloroform, and made the girl on TikTok pass out.
She shouted at the woman to get away, but it wasn't until the TikToker's husband got out of their parked car that the stranger seemed to get the message.
I turned to look back at the woman, and she's gone. She's already across the whole entire gas station, back over with those two men near the car, and they're looking at us and talking about us, presumably.
If the TikTok user hadn't been with her husband that day, perhaps the incident would have gone differently. After all, if there's strength in numbers, being alone can present a vulnerability. Unfortunately for New Jersey resident Ashlyn, she was taking her early morning run solo when a Mercedes-Benz blew by her before slamming the brakes. And when Ashlyn passed by the passenger side of the car, which now had its door opened, she glanced in and made a bone-chilling discovery. Both the driver and person in the back seat were wearing ski masks.
The one in the back seat had it pulled to here so I could still see his smile. And he was smiling at me in a way that I literally will never erase from my mind.
To Ashlyn, it looked like they were about to say something to her, until she noticed the person in the passenger seat readying to lunge at her.
So when I realized, I just darted and sprinted across the street as fast as I could, and right away I called my boyfriend, let him know what happened.
Later, Ashlyn made the safe call to report the incident to law enforcement. However, little could be done.
The hard thing is they were actually in a stolen vehicle, so for me to get camera footage of the car really won't do anything. The license plate wasn't theirs and won't match up to them.
But while many of these modern horror stories have been linked to these criminal organizations, does this conclusion hold any weight? While there's no question women have found strange objects on their cars and police have warned fake money on windshields might be a tactic for vehicle theft, the ties to actual cases of these crimes don't seem to exist outside of the theories on social media. Similarly, the use of tagging by these criminal rings is also unsubstantiated, and yes, that includes zip ties.
It's just a plain old black zip tie.
Right, it's just a zip tie. It does not indicate that anybody's at risk of being... I've been researching human for over 10 years, and I've never seen a single case involving zip ties.
We've not seen cases, and I have not received any complaints from individuals who have come across this.
As for the tale of the napkin with an alleged chemical on it, according to fact-checking site Snopes, aside from the police report, there's no evidence to corroborate the woman's story. The site also notes poisoning is typically done through inhalation or ingestion, not touch alone. In the end, it seems these claims about kidnapping for forced labor services often originate from social media or even trace back to decades-old folklore. In fact, while the TikTok user who was offered perfume at a gas station was rightfully uncomfortable, the tales of traffickers, robbers, and other criminals putting chloroform in perfume is an urban legend that traces back to the late 90s and has been continually debunked. And it turns out this isn't unusual. Another story that's being passed around TikTok involving criminals hiding under cars to injure the driver's ankles with a blade and render them defenseless actually comes from a legend first popularized in the 70s. Back then, the tale encapsulated the fears of serial SAs of the time. By the 90s, gang initiations had become a part of the story, and in modern times, well, trafficking serves as the big bad.
This is meant to pause you so that someone from underneath the car can your Achilles heel.
But to some, these virtual fables aren't just misleading, they're dangerous.
If you see money in your windshield, you need to run away fast. They're trying to get you.
No, they're not.
Hello.
And
yo,
this is not
are you that bikers?
According to TikToker Abby,
Would you like to buy
the
this stinger?
misrepresentations of trafficking that
Oh,
are
it's
reported social
you.
media through PSAs
Hello,
and
Raven
scary
Knoxia.
stories
Raven,
blur the
fuck.
issue to the point that real trafficking
I forgot your name.
is unrecognizable.
I know there's no bad intentions behind this, but I do think this is.
I want max price for this.
Don't worry about the scratches and yeah.
Yeah. This is the Kia stinger?
Sorry?
This is the Kia?
Yeah, max
Yeah,
one,
sting
yeah.
up.
Ooh, unfortunately, we already got 3 in stock.
Oh, yeah, but that's fine.
Surely give this guy a favor.
What about over in Valhalla?
You'd have to check with Valhalla. There's probably someone there.
Look at this ugly guy.
Oh no, it's you.
Wow.
Oh,
Jumping Bluey.
look at the face on that.
You still work at LSC?
No.
Oh.
This guy is an unemployed bum for sure.
Yeah, I went away. I went away for a while, so I need money. So I'm just selling this.
Yeah, alright.
Is probably the most harmful media that's put out there in terms of anti-trafficking efforts. Human does not look like some boogeyman skilled criminal hiding out in the bushes of a parking lot waiting to pounce on middle-class women through elaborate schemes with zip ties and cash on their cars. This is a fantasy fear-mongering scenario that's vastly overplayed, that completely overshadows how human actually works and makes the wrong people scared for the wrong reasons.
And it seems the TikToker has a point.
Less than 1% of trafficking cases in the US are through these tactics.
As it turns out, trafficking in persons doesn't typically occur at the hands of a stranger lurking in a parking lot or pulled over at a roadside stop and wait. Nope. According to experts, these criminals are inclined towards an approach that doesn't rely on the element of surprise, forging trust with their targets.
The majority of the time, trafficking victims are willingly going into it. By willingly, I mean manipulated and coerced.
This means these criminals aren't usually unknown to their victim. Rather, they're a friend, a family member, or a romantic partner that can coerce their target into the trade, sometimes even making it feel like their choice.
Most people are trafficked by someone they know. Period.
Typically, a trafficker is going to identify a victim and infiltrate their life. Here's how. They're going to find a need that they can provide to their victim to make that victim trust them. Then with a lot of manipulation, force, and coercion, they get the victim to do exactly what they want. Here's the scary part. Because a trafficker typically infiltrates the victim's life, victims tend to know their traffickers.
As one TikTok user put it, sorry to break the news, but you're far more likely to become a survivor because of your boyfriend than getting kidnapped at a Target. And while traffickers can abduct their victims, more often than not, they prey on those on society's outskirts, whose disappearances won't pick up media attention.
It's with unhoused teenagers or teenagers with unstable housing. It's with women coming out of methadone clinics. It's with women of color in neighborhoods that are underfunded and underserved by public transportation, so they are walking home alone at night from a late shift.
Unfortunately, according to experts, the moral panic unfolding online only further clouds the
Josie,
issue,
what's
to the point
up?
that those who are vulnerable aren't the ones who are being protected.
Where there's Josie, there's
Oh,
shit.
on the app to be useful.
I want you to link the article that interviews every
Where there's
single
Josie, there's
trafficker,
Brian.
carjacker.
I almost got murdered.
Wait, what? I was so
I
distracted
almost
by
died.
that. I was so distracted by the Rumpo side skirting that I did not notice.
Holy.
Wait, did the Rumpo almost hit you or?
Yes.
Yeah, mate, you came very close to not being alive, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was crazy. Wonder where he
That
went.
is,
The fucking silly
He
sausage.
just kept going, honestly.
There's a random number here.
Maybe it was like Nitro Circus. Maybe he was trying to do a little trick, like a little two-wheeler or something.
I almost thought he was gonna tip over.
Oh, he didn't tip over. He
didn't.
He actually. Wow,
Yeah,
that's
he-
fucking sick.
Mm.
Yeah, he probably definitely did that on purpose then. That's pretty sick. I missed it. I didn't see it go past the building.
Oh, look,
What's
Josie,
going on,
you're
mate?
a little
Made many
leaf.
sales today?
I'm good, just here, you know, trying to make KPI. The rest of us.
How many have you sold today, mate?
One.
Oh, fuck. Hopefully everyone starts coming to shopping soon.
Josie and your little leaf. Your little leafy. Your little leafy sub badge.
See you, mate.
Alright. Are you guys not diving? No, I called you a leafy. Anyways, yeah, are you guys not diving anymore? Or are you just taking a break? Oh, you did? Yeah. I've been on after I went to watch Barbie today. It was okay. Although now I think it just wasn't a cinema-worthy movie, honestly. You should just, you know, get online. Oh well. Yeah, no. I think I'm good on Amazon right now.
With malintent, I want you to link the article that interviews every single one of them where they say that this is not a trafficking or, you know, carjacking tactic. But, like, if this information could help one person to not get carjacked or trafficked or anything like that, I don't understand what your problem is.
And while story times that suggest these criminals target women at random might contradict what the crime typically looks like, this doesn't mean women shouldn't trust their instincts. See, just because reported incidents of tagging, poisoning, and luring might not be a part of a widespread trafficking conspiracy doesn't mean these interactions can't be incredibly dangerous. After all, these situations often occurred when women were alone, vulnerable, and near a vehicle. The perfect cocktail of circumstances for a criminal to strike.
70% of abductions involve the suspect driving a vehicle, and that's the key. That's how they get away.
Whether it's robbery, abduction, SA, or even a rare instance where trafficking does occur outside of the typical circumstances, it's possible the women from the previously shown videos did sense danger, and the precautions they took saved them from an uncomfortable, traumatizing, or potentially life-threatening encounter. So what can people do to prevent finding themselves in similar situations? Well, while it's impossible to prepare for every scenario, there are steps people can take to feel better protected after parking their car. For example, a couple of the stories we mentioned shared one thing in common: location of the vehicle.
It was dark, obviously, around the holidays, and I had to park far back.
Walking towards my car, which was parked at the back of the gas station.
Parking at the back of a lot is a big no-no according to safety sources that encourage parking as close as possible to a store's entrance. However, if there are no open spots near the front, parking under a lamp that will keep your vehicle well lit is the next best option. And when you return to your vehicle, make sure not to hop in right away. Instead, scan for flat tires and check the back seat and under your car for any stowaways. Most importantly, stay alert. This means having your keys in your hand before you reach your vehicle and not letting your mind wander to distractions.
We want to always have our head on a swivel, constantly looking around. We don't want to be on our phone. We don't want to be listening to music. Get in your car, lock the doors, start driving.
And if you find yourself in the worst case scenario where a stranger catches you off guard or approaches you armed, never willingly get in the car with them.
Fight back and run as fast as you can. Your chances of survival if you get in the car and go to a second location decrease significantly. Statistically, an attacker has a 12% chance of actually shooting you, a 6% chance of actually hitting a 3% chance of that actually being fatal.
Now, equipped with this knowledge about the red flags to look out for, safety tips, and an understanding of what trafficking looks like, hopefully you can feel more at ease on your next solo excursion. There's no question women experience SA and maltreatment at a staggering rate.
As females, you will never be safe in this world. Even when you think you are the most safe, you never know what could happen.
And just because these crimes are usually perpetrated by an intimate partner, doesn't mean a stranger, given the chance, isn't capable of something just as wicked.
You always think that would never happen to me until it happens to you.
So while a dimly lit parking lot likely won't put a person at risk of being taken,
it's probably not you in the parking lot of the grocery store in your Kia.
The precautions people take to protect themselves are never without just cause.
It's always better to report something than wait until it's too late.
This is the story of car traps, the rumored criminal tactics that have drivers fearing for their safety.
Oh, let me see.
So you think you want a golden retriever?
I want a golden retriever.
But are you ready for this?
Oh my
Blue.
god.
Roofs. Endless roofs. Never have clean walls again. Golden glitter covering
Oh my
every
God.
inch of your soul.
Okay, wait.
You're welcome. Juicy snoot art. Picasso wishes he could. Extreme feather duster seduction. Can steal your girl with one way. And my personal favorite.
Oh.
Water bowl rivers. I
my
promise it's
God.
not pee-pee. So you think you want a golden retriever. But are you ready?
Dude, I want a Goldie though. So cute.
Mom, alert! Alert now! Pay attention! Mom, sit down. You're gonna pass out. Yes. Thank you.
Can I try your 100 that you got in there, please? Your Hurricane
Hurricane? Yeah, no worries.
before blackout. What's the price on it?
I'll check. Yeah, we bought that for 1 million. So it's 1,949,000.
Okay.
Almost 2. There you go.
Thank you.
I got you. I do DPT. I good boy. Mom, alert.
Amazon box? What? Why do people have them?
This curling iron costs $1,000. We're gonna see how it compares to other curling irons.
How'd it go?
A little bit slidey for me. It's quick enough. It's not bad, but I don't know. Don't love it. Don't hate it, but don't love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll see if it's here later, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wait, which La Corva are you?
Corvina.
Look, Vina. Okay, nice to meet you,
Corvina.
Bluey. Oh, you're Corvina. My bad.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Enterprises. Have a great day.
Starting with this $1 mini ceramic glaze curling iron hair bangs iron. It was from Alibaba. I'm honestly gonna be amazed if this works. It's so little. Okay, it's on. On and off are the only settings on this one. Honestly, if this works, it might not be bad for like bangs or short hair. Okay, moment of truth. It worked! So rather than curl my whole head and re-straighten it 17 times, I'm going to have a little help. I got 17 of these human hair wigs from
What the hell?
and I hand dyed them to match my hair. So I'm gonna do one strand of my actual hair for every iron. It's probably gonna look ridiculous by the end of this. But I'm gonna do a whole head of the curls on these guys. And then at the end, we'll decide which curls we like best. I can only keep one curling iron at the end of this video, and I have to give all of the rest of them away. This tiny little curling iron took 21 minutes to finish this entire wig. Are you ready to see the results?
I was trying to get in the boot.
Why?
Because it's a van.
It's not yours.
Alright, I'm sorry.
The fuck?
You can get deported for stealing on a business property, just so you know.
I didn't steal anything.
Well, don't get in a boot you don't own.
Barry online.
What?
You know, I can have you fired.
No, you can't, actually.
Oh,
That was so random.
that was so random. You're correct. It says. Like, I saw him heading, you know, I saw him heading towards you.
They're so brazen now. Like, they don't even hide it.
I know. You could tell he's a Danny.
so frustrating. Like, you need to drive your car into the middle of the desert to be able to get out, you know?
No, boo.
Do you know Barry or Bez?
Oh.
That was fucking weird. Sus! Way too sus. I remember back then, like 10 minutes to blackout, like Danny's would actually go to businesses and kill who they can before blackout. Just so that, whatever, you know? Because all the admins had already flown out, there's nobody to report to, yada yada. And then that's what Danny's would do, like trolls. They would just come in before blackout. Like, they'll come in and then 10 minutes or 5 minutes before blackout would just kill whoever they could. Oh, sus as fuck, though. He was literally trying to get into Kenya's boot for sure. It's crazy.
Not bad. I mean, it's definitely not good enough to use on like a daily basis. I mean, I would call it more waves than a curl. Moving on to our $5 curling iron. This one was from Amazon, but you can find these on pretty much any website for pretty cheap. I've never seen anything quite like this. Only an on button for this one. So I'm guessing I clamp end of my hair into the end and then swirl up the rest of it into the blue. I feel like this blue plastic part is entirely unnecessary. Oh, and that's as high up as it goes. Okay, I'm letting go. Oh no, oh no, oh. Okay, that curl is
like,
not
oh,
terrible.
no.
After doing an entire wig of it, we came to the conclusion, I think it's like a training curling iron because this blue plastic part can't burn you. So it's like a baby's first curling iron. And here's the result. The face framing pieces are not terrible, but the back's looking a little bit sad. So not the most even, long-lasting curls by any means. Kinda think the $1 is better than the $5. $20 curling iron. This is from the brand Bedhead. This one's interesting. Ooh, so you can either wrap your hair around the bubbles or wrap it between the bubbles, depending on the type of look you want to get. This thing is crazy. What's next? I think I'm gonna try going in between the bubbles. Okay, I don't know how good of a job I did getting in between the bubbles. All right, let's see how it looks. Yeah. That's the worst curl ever. Okay, take two.
What the
It's
heck?
still pretty bad. That's not what the picture looked like. 1 out of 10. This bubble curler is so weird. The curls didn't turn out terrible. The trick with this curling iron is to not wrap the hair really tight like you would any other curling iron. I have zero desire to keep this curling iron, I'll say that right now. This is not the one. $30 curling iron. This is the Wave Talk Pro Thin Curling Iron. This is the smallest curling iron I could find. It's 1/4 of an inch. This one also came with a glove, a slightly nicer glove. I've actually always wanted to do a full head of tiny curls like this, but for the sake of this video, we're just doing one piece on me and the rest on a wig. I feel like all my hair is not gonna fit on it at once though, so maybe I'll start from the top and kind of work my way down. Ow. I'm wearing the glove on the wrong hand. Okay. Okay, not bad. I feel like maybe I should have done a smaller section of hair, but that's not terrible. It's kind of cute. This tiny curling iron took over an hour to finish this whole wig, but the result is pretty cool. If you've watched more than one of my videos and you haven't hit subscribe, what are you doing? Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any other future fun videos like this one. Ready? Here it is! I think this turned out so cool. This wig is actually not very thick hair and quite a bit shorter than my actual hair, so I can't imagine doing my actual head of hair and all of my extensions with this thing, but all right, I wanna see how this one's gonna look on me. I don't know about it, but it looks so cute on other people when they do it. Well, after this, I don't know if this is gonna be the one I keep either. $50 curling iron. This is a Hot Tools. I used lots of Hot Tools growing up. So it goes from 1 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch. Interesting. We're gonna put the glove on the correct hand this time. I like it.
Did he come back?
Yeah, I think. I don't know who that is in the black, but he's punching the one in the white.
The white was here. How about the guy in the green?
No, I haven't seen him yet.
Where's your shoes?
Oh, my feet are so sore from being in heels all day. Oh, I don't know. There we go.
Yeah, that was so sus.
Yeah, holy heck. Pretty sure I didn't get there in time.
Yeah, I was running towards your van. It's like, I'm gonna punch this guy out if he tries. The hell? What is up, Cody?
Oh. Here we go.
What are you looking at, fool? I'm joking. I'm joking.
What's this guy's name? What have you been up to, Cody? Eh? You like the new layout with the new alerts?
You lost your pants? And your shoes?
I'm homeless. Cute.
You're homeless? Holy.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad that didn't escalate.
Yeah, true. But the audacity.
I know. Can't even have your vehicle parked up beside a wall now.
No, I don't do that.
Apparently I only just found out you can look right through it.
It's a big E word that should definitely be prayed up now.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it's been a big thing for a long time because even employees, when Val used to be down at Spanish, they would park it, in the back near the wall, and then they'll just get their stuff through. Oh. It's fired.
Oh dear.
It's back.
How are you? Here you go, mate.
I'm good.
Did you return that car you grabbed from Vespucci?
Yeah, of course. I got a new car.
That's right, you did. Where is it?
Yeah, it's a Honda Civic.
Ah. Oh, yeah, they're good cars. Should probably do the Max 20 it or?
Nah. How do I do that? Don't I need to pay like 100,000?
No. Max 20 is only like 12k. So if you go across there and you ask for a Max 20, if they're a mod mech, they'll be able to put on there. It just gives it a little bit extra strength, you know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you.
That's alright.
Oh my. Anyways, I'm gonna be back later.
Alright.
Good
Enjoy.
luck.
Have fun, I need it. Thank you.
too much, honestly. Go on. Hello.
There you going?
What's up?
How much would you buy this for, Max Sunday?
I could check. So for the Hurricane, we buy it for 1.5.
This is a 720S McLaren.
Ah, right. Sorry. 1.7.
1.7? Alright, give me a sec. Nah, that's all good. All good.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Have a good one.
You too.
Wait, do you make money off, buying cars?
Huh?
Do you make money off buying cars?
Well, I got a float on myself, and I'll just buy whatever car down here and bring them up to Valhalla. And yes, at the end of the month, there's like a little fee.
Oh, yeah.
But we do need stock. That's why I decided to come down here.
Yeah. Alright, you have a good one, yeah?
You too. Oh, someone's getting pulled over. Oh! It's like I have trouble with the math. Jesus. Hey, Smacks, what is up? I just started, at least for Valhalla, I just started here. Decided to situate myself out to garage, you know? See if anybody in city doesn't want to go to Polito and they just want to, you know. But yeah, how's it going? I saw you. I think you could haze, was it? What happened? Dude, I want to see this actual show, though. I want to see this show.
Bada bing, bada boom.
This is taking place in Manila, in the Philippines.
Oh, in
Mrs.
Philippines?
Lee is a tourist
When?
from Hong Kong. She gets off the tour bus and she's kind of holding her hand to her stomach. So she was with this huge tour van and they're going from tourist attraction to tourist attraction. They get off the bus, they look around, take some pictures, get back on the bus. Now, all day, she had been feeling so queasy. She just wants to like throw up, and she finally convinces the bus controller to let her off to get some fresh air. She had been with the same group for several days now, and they were on their final stop, their last stop, their final destination in the Philippines before heading back home. She and her husband, Mr. Lee, they always really liked the Philippines. So to give you some context, they were actually here in the Philippines 40 years ago for their honeymoon, and now they were back 40 years later, and they were a part of this tour group. This trip was bringing back a ton of memories, especially as they would watch the younger couples get onto the bus. They're like, oh my god, that used to be us 40 years ago. We used to have that much energy. They would see all the little kids getting on the bus and they would think of their kids when they were so young. And it was just kind of like this
And whatever makes you happy, you know?
So 40 years ago, that means they're in like 60s?
Yeah, they're a little older. They're one of the older couples on this bus, but they were still kicking with a lot of energy. Okay. So they're having a blast, but she steps out of the bus. It's August. It's hot, humid. The Manila air is suffocating. She takes one step. She hears the bus doors close behind her. She doesn't look back. She takes another step away from the bus. 2 steps, 3 steps, and after a little while, she felt 2 people grab her by the arms on both sides of her. She's screaming at the two men that dragged her into the crowd, "Please, you have to let me get on that bus. My husband is on that bus." Now, the two people that had been dragging her into the crowd were police officers. They were hostage negotiators. The crowd was filled with other officers, federal agents, government officials, journalists, reporters, news stations, civilians. There was a massive circle just surrounding this bus. And inside was Mr. Lee, Mrs. Lee's husband, but also a bunch of innocent tourist passengers and an unhinged gunman. She was let out in the middle of a hostage situation. There was no way that the officers were gonna let her get back on that bus. She was lucky to even be let out. She said that she had a stomach ache. The bus controller, the hostage taker, let her out for a second, and now, that's it. She was not gonna be rejoining her husband on that bus. And she was very lucky. I mean, many of the passengers, many of the innocent tourists, I mean, everyone on that bus, they're innocent. They did not ask for anything like this, and they would end up dying on that bus.
What?
This is the story of the Manila bus hijacking, and there are so many wild parts about this case. I mean, the fact that it happened in general is wild. The way the negotiations were handled is mind-boggling. And lastly, even afterwards, when a full-scale diplomatic relations disaster is taking place, many netizens would sympathize with the killer. Yeah. Some said that the killer was innocent. Some said that he was also a victim. Why would they even think that? And just the way that this hostage negotiation takes place, usually I feel like a lot of tension when I talk about hostage negotiations. This one's even weirder because everyone is crowding around the bus. There's like no established perimeter. So the bus is just in the middle of a very busy area, and there's civilians, journalists, just all around the bus.
Like there's no tapes and fence.
But inside the bus is just an utter chaos.
That is bizarre.
So as always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. This has been a highly requested case, and our Filipino researcher has been working really hard to assist in putting the story together for you guys. But as always, with foreign cases, if there's anything that was missed, something else you want covered, something lost in translation, let us know in the comments. And with that being said, let's get into it. Which, side note, if you're researching this, I just want to put a quick disclaimer that the crime scene photos are very, very easy to pop up. Like, if you go to Google Images, it's incredibly graphic and it's right there. I mean, so please be aware of that. If you are a little bit queasy, it's really bad. Now, there was another woman on that bus, and her name is Mrs. Yik, Y-I-K. Now, when her son was young, she said the hardest part was her son could not look her in the face. I mean, he was terrified of her face. She almost always exclusively wore a face mask around her kids because whenever they would see her bare face, they would get scared. She said that she's had 30 operations, she has more scheduled, but nothing seems to work. There's a hole on the right side of her jaw where saliva and pus will often leak out. That's where she was shot. And she would feel the rush of adrenaline and the trauma that would just come piling back to her. The feeling of being shot, but pretending to play dead so that she could make it back home to her family. She would have flashbacks to when she was back on that bus. Her only comfort in life was that as her son started to grow up, he had actually sat her down one day and said, "Mom, that's okay. I know that you went on a tour for vacation and you were shot by a really bad person." It was a very, very bad person, but what she and the others did not know at the time was that there was more than one bad person at the scene that day. According to the United States Department of Justice, hostage takers can be grouped into 3 vague categories. So apparently when you get into the categories, there are subcategories within, and then you even can distinguish each hostage taker by their negotiation tactic. Are they avoidant negotiators? Are they accommodating negotiators? So this is really just a general vague idea for the 3 categories. The first one, professional criminals. These are typically the easiest to handle for the police. They want a plea deal. They want money. They want an out. Their motivations are rather clear, and as long as everyone's interests are aligned, it's almost like a business transaction. And like I said, this category can further be distinguished by a fleeing criminal who got stuck in a hostage situation, and now the hostages are his only bargaining chip, and they're trying to get their way out of the crime. Maybe it's an institutionalized or incarcerated person, right? So there's subcategories. The second vague category is the terrorist groups. These are kind of harder to deal with in terms of hostage situations. Typically, their total dedication to their cause and their high level of skill in promoting their ideologies, it makes them very unreasonable. It makes them unpredictable, and that is the most dangerous thing in a hostage situation, is an unpredictable hostage taker. They're willing to go to extremes to prove a point that most people may not be able to resonate with. Then lastly, you have the quote psychotics. These are, for a lack of a better word, the unhinged hostage takers. They're even more unpredictable. Typically, they require a lot of lengthy, extensive involvement with psychologists or psychiatrists with the hostage negotiators. Their emotions are unstable. They can quickly, very quickly become trigger happy because you don't really know going in what their motivation is. Many would argue that the killer in today's case would fit into the last category, unhinged and unpredictable. The tour group was loading up for the last leg of their trip. The bus driver was blasting the AC because, like I said, it's hot, humid, and sticky, like the trifecta of a tropical climate. And the driver never really interacted with the passengers much because he is a Filipino and all the passengers, they don't speak Tagalog, but he was hired by the tour company to drive them from different tourist sites in Manila. So he was with them for multiple days, and anytime the tourists would board the bus or get off, they would greet him, they would thank him for his, chauffeuring, and they all had like a nice, pleasant relationship. Now, all they needed to do was a quick head count, and they would be off to their very last location. It's almost like a bittersweet moment, Inside the bus, there were 20 tourists, mostly from Hong Kong, in varying ages. So you got young children to older vacationers like the Lee family. And then additionally, you had a tour guide from Hong Kong and 4 Filipino citizens, including the bus driver.
Okay.
So you have 25 people, okay? And then there was a man outside. Now, the vacationers had passed by him to board the bus. It almost looked like he was guarding the bus. It was kind of interesting. There was nothing about him, though, that was alarming or unsettling in any way. Most of them believed him to be some sort of security. He was wearing a police uniform, holding a rifle. Now, it didn't seem that out of place in Manila. So they were like, oh, okay, like maybe he's escorting us to the last location. Maybe the last location is a little bit more well protected, well surveillanced. I don't know. It was a little unexpected, but it's not like, oh, what is that guy doing here? Even the bus driver seemed chill.
So he looks like a cop.
Yeah. So the last passenger gets onto the bus, and the man outside that's very clearly heavily armed stood in the doorway, preventing the door from closing, and he asked the bus driver, can I have a ride? Now, the driver is feeling sympathy. It's a very hot day outside, but he's like, I gotta politely decline. Like, I'm sorry. I'm driving a privately owned bus. It's not like a city bus or a metro. So my bosses they would fire me if I just let, like, random people ride. I'm so sorry. So he tries to close the door, but the man stood there and refused to move. He won't let the door close. So everyone's kind of like, what's going on? Because everyone can hear the door trying to close, and he's blocking it, and everyone just kind of goes silent, like, this is weird. So then he steps into the bus, and he says, close the door. So the bus driver closes the door, because he's looking at his rifle. He's like, I'm not going to not listen to this man. And effectively, he's locking all 25 of them with an unhinged man with a loaded gun inside the bus. The man starts kind of screaming at the passengers. Close the blinds, everyone close the blinds. The local guide that had been helping translate to the group translated everything that the man was yelling to the group. And for a split moment, everyone was so shocked that they didn't even move. The parents snapped out of it for the sake of their kids, and maybe if we do everything we're told, he's not gonna hurt us, or at least he won't hurt the kids, right? So they're scrambling, they're closing the curtains and the blinds on this bus, and once they were done, it's just utter silence, anticipation of like what is going to happen next. Everyone's minds are racing on possible outcomes. People noticed a couple of things that they pointed out later. The first being that when he was screaming, close the blinds, something about it was very rehearsed. But it didn't have the power in his chest. It didn't seem like he was a seasoned criminal, that he did this frequently. It felt like he was almost nervous for this. Okay. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, because nerves are a very explosive emotion as well. So everyone's running through the possible outcomes of a situation like this, and I think many of them felt the tiniest bit of relief when the armed man started to...
Yeah, do you know what the best job is?
Best job?
Yeah, to make money.
Depends what you want to do. Like, if it's about a lot of customers, it'll be mechanic. If you're into car dealing, then car dealing, but that one, it's a 50-50 whether you get customers or not. You can literally stand around for 3 to 4 hours without nothing.
So what's the best way to make like money, you know, cheap, easy, fast?
Diving.
Alright. Whoa.
Sorry, we're a bit busy.
Thank you.
Bye.
Apologizing to everyone. He kept saying he was sorry. He kept telling the translator, I never wanted to do this to them. Just make sure they know I don't want to do this to them. I just need the police to listen to me. To listen to what happened to me. Look, I don't want to hurt anyone here. As long as everyone cooperates, everything's gonna be okay. So the translator lets the passengers know what's going on, and the gunman would occasionally even smile at the group. Like, not a big, unhinged, like, smile, but like a very, like sorry kind of smile. He seemed polite, and whenever people seemed to get anxious, he would reassure everyone. He would tell the translator, hey, tell them I have no intention of hurting them. So, like, just calm down, we're gonna be okay. Okay, so again, it's like maybe this is, and you have to think that these are people from Hong Kong. They might have assumed that this is some sort of attack because of where they're from, because of who they are. It's a tourist bus. I mean, it's very random. So he's like, it's not about you guys, trust me, it's just, I'm sorry it had to be you. One tourist would even later say, after we heard his explanation about just wanting to get the police's attention, we didn't really think we were in danger. I mean, it's not like he was demanding $1 billion from the cops and a pet unicorn. He just said he wanted the police to hear him out. That's it. I felt like everything could be very easily solved. But unfortunately, not everyone was going to get out alive. The armed man instructed the bus driver to take everyone to a very famous part of Manila, the grandstand. This is where Filipino presidents get inaugurated. Yeah. The bus driver was instructed to park just in the middle of the road leading up to it, and from there, in front of civilians, reporters, news anchors, police, federal agents, they would be held hostage. It looks straight out of a movie set. If you see pictures of the crime scene, there's like a bus. There's not really an established perimeter, like a piece of tape or anything, but people are keeping somewhat of a distance, and it's just a crowd of people around, and it looks like a movie set.
Like people are just
Recording
hovering
inside
and
the bus.
watching.
Yeah. Imagine being held hostage in a bus with an armed man, and if you just peek outside the window, you can see a whole crowd of people forming, and they all know what's going on inside that bus. They know you can't leave the bus.
But that's dangerous too.
Yes.
Like, he can easily shoot.
Fire out.
Yeah.
You hope that these people standing outside watching are trying to help you from the outside, but from inside the bus, there's not much that you can do. You're trapped. You're literally center stage, and you know that everyone outside the bus is staring into you, thinking the same exact thing, which is, will they live or will they die?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yo, excuse me, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
No, this person's not real.
He got totally ignored. Maybe I had to put. Oh wait, he's coming back.
No, I'm black. I'm black. I'm black. It's all good.
What the fuck?
Wait, I can't say nigga.
Huh. Whoa, did he just say what I think he said?
Oh, I can't hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah, so pretty much, I got a homeboy pretty much. Jesus! Just need, you still selling car parts?
Hey, you could ask him where to get the license thing.
By the way, how do I get my friend here a license?
I'll be right back. Alright.
And what year was this?
2010. And at the end of the 11th hour, people will die. So start the clocks. The bus driver parked the bus and he kept it running. They needed the AC. Right now it's about 9:50 a.m. and the weather is only going to get hotter throughout the day. Meanwhile, the tourists are all kind of glancing around at each other, and they're probably taking inventory of who's by the exits, what do we need to help in escaping. The children, the elderly, they're gonna need some assistance. Some of the kids would start crying, and their parents were frantically trying to hush them because even though they felt somewhat relieved that this guy wasn't completely unhinged, they felt like they didn't know if any sound or any noise, like crying, would trigger this man. You don't know truly the mental state of anyone. He had way too many weapons to take that kind of risk. So they all just sat there, eyes wide, and they start watching this man continuing to arm himself further. He pulled out more guns, boxes upon boxes of ammo. The ones on the bus who knew guns would know that he's holding an M16 assault rifle. It had a firing rate of 45 to 60 rounds on a semi-automatic model and close to 1,000 rounds per minute on a cyclic sustained model.
He had all that on him?
Yes. If this man becomes trigger happy, it is all over for them. Like, just the firing rate of that rifle is honestly insane. Hour 1, the man walks over to the bus driver and handcuffs him to the steering wheel. The Hong Kong tour office is informed that the tourists have been taken as hostages. Authorities are informed and they rush to the scene, but they keep their distance. So as of now, all they know is that everyone inside that bus is still alive. Now it's up to the hostage negotiators to keep it that way. That's their whole job. So 2 of the negotiators, they arrive promptly to the scene. We've got Superintendent Orlando Yerba and Chief Inspector Romeo Salvador. They were able to get the bus driver's phone number, and through that, the negotiators asked to speak with the hostage taker himself. And they even actually approached the bus. And that's when it all clicked. Why this man was doing this, who he was. One of the negotiators, Salvador, he stood there staring and he said, "The hostage taker? That's an old colleague of mine. He's a former police officer."
They know each other?
Yes. This man, the hostage taker, was one of the top police officers in the nation. What the hell was he doing? The demand was quite simple. He said, "I'm gonna let everyone go if I can just have my old job back." He wanted to be a police officer again. He had been let go of, and now he wants it back. Listen, not a great way to apply for a job if you ask me. The hostage taker is a man named Rolando Mendoza. He
So
was
stupid.
55 years old at the time of the
Stupid.
incident, and he was a former police
bobo
senior
ng police
inspector.
officer
He
na
was
ewan.
well respected, highly decorated. His colleagues, family, friends, I mean, nobody that knew him had anything bad to say about him. Everyone said he's the kind of police officer that you would want working on your case, or even like pulling you over. He was kind, he's a very fair man with a very generous heart. Yeah, he's one of the good ones. And he was incredibly intelligent. He got his bachelor's in criminology from the Philippine College of Criminology. He received about 10 Outstanding Policeman of the Philippines awards. I mean, he was really, really good at his job. In fact, being a police officer, it kind of ran in his family. So his brother was on the police force. Mendoza's nephew would also follow along in the family footsteps. And alongside Mendoza's very prosperous career, he had a wife, 3 children that were now adults at the time of the hijacking, and his youngest son would actually be a deputy chief officer in a different police force.
Like they're all cops currently.
Yeah, pretty much they're like all cops except for Mendoza, because he was fired. A year before this hostage taking. He was let go 1 year ago. So the whole thing was, around the time of the bus hostage taking, he was gonna retire. That was his plan. He was gonna retire from the police force in about a year. And since he was such a highly valued official that worked for the government, he was eligible for a very comfortable pension. Look, it's not like winning the lottery, but it would be a very good living and he would be comfortable for the remainder of his life. However, this would all change when Mendoza and 4 of his colleagues were fired from the police force and stripped of all their benefits, current and future, like pension gone. And it all began in 2008 with a viral email. The email was viewed millions of times by netizens who were enraged. They wanted action, they wanted answers, they wanted someone to pay, they wanted someone to go down, and they were not going to stop until someone was on the ground. So 2 years ago, Mendoza and his team of officers arrested a man named Christian Kala for illegal parking and driving. Upon his release, Christian's dad sent out an email blast to every outlet, reporter, journalist that he could think of to share this information with, and he said the most horrible thing had happened to his son while he was detained by the police officers. According to Christian, he went to his cousin's to pick up his laptop. So he parks in front of his cousin's condo building, and he's just gonna run inside and grab his belongings. But when he gets back to his car, he said that, according to the email, there was a whole team of policemen just waiting by his car. Hey, this is a no parking zone. Christian's looking around like, okay, if that's the case, why are there so many other cars parked here? It's alleged that the police did not listen to his response and they just demanded that he pop open his trunk. They wanted to search his vehicle. And he's like, well, if you want to search my vehicle, then you can get a search warrant. It stated that Christian refused, but the situation escalated to the point where he was, quote, forced to obey. The officers search inside of his car and allegedly pocket 3,000 pesos that was inside, so about $55. And then the officer noticed that the plastic ends of a spark plug were left in the trunk, and they picked it up and they were like, aha, paraphernalia. And he's like, that is not, no, that's the opposite. What are you talking about? But to further bolster their own theory, officers found like nearby empty sachets of shabu, like seasoning, I guess, in the vehicle, and they started screaming at each other that they found drugs. They're like, it's drugs, we found drugs. He's like, what are you talking about? He was arrested at 10:30 in the morning. Now, this is where things get wild in the email and very, very scary. According to the email, the police did not drive Christian to the police station or even to the jail. They drove him to an ATM and demanded he withdraw every single penny inside of his account.
What?
Christian thankfully did not have any money in his ATM card, so they left with no cash and they went back to the police headquarters. The whole time, Christian said he's just trying to explain to them, I did nothing wrong, those aren't even what are you talking about? Like, please, do a drug test on me. If you don't believe me, do a drug test. Like, I work at the Mandarin Hotel. There is no way they do constant drug tests. I'm a chef there. There's no way that I would be able to do drugs and get away with it. Like, trust me. You can call my employer, get my recent results, or do one right now. The email alleged that the police officers ignored him. Instead, they grabbed a baggie of amphetamines that they personally had and tried to get him to swallow it. The email stated Christian refused for as long as he could, but they beat him so badly that he wet his pants from the utter fear. Christian had no choice but to give in, and he swallowed the meth. According to the email, allegedly, the cops said, well, now we're going to see if you test negative. Now, again, back to the email, Christian was said to have been kept by the police for a full 12 hours, being straight up abused and extorted by the police officers. They would say things to him like, you need to pay us $3,600 in order to be let go. The email stated Christian was allowed one phone call, so he reached out to his friend asking to bring any sort of cash that he could have and Christian would pay him back. They bought $400 in cash, and it was enough for the dirty cops. They let Christian go. Christian called his parents the next day, and his dad was so enraged, so upset that he wrote this email trying to draw attention to what is going on in their country, to the cops that did this to his precious son. The captain of the group was named in the email as Mendoza. When netizens read this email, there was this anger that was unlocked from within, not only because the email itself was so explosive and scandalous, but the allegations were really freaking bad. This type of thing was happening to Filipinos everywhere though. So much so that there's even a name for it called Hulidop. Huli means arrest, and dop is like slang for hold up or a stick up. So it's like when cops arrest you and are like, I'm gonna let you go if you pay me. It's like a fake arrest, just so that they can get money. Basically, extortion from innocent civilians. So this email blows up. Everyone starts referring to the shady cops as, quote, Manila's finest, and public pressure forces officials to at least investigate. The police force found Christian and convinced him to file an official complaint and press charges against the offending officers. All of that sounds normal, right? I mean, I could see this play out in the US too. But there's a few strange things about this case. It took Christian 7 weeks to be convinced by authorities to file charges, and you could argue that he didn't want to live through the trauma that would be this trial, but it gets weirder. Stories start twisting and turning. Christian's official affidavit that was done after the email blast and after he was finally convinced to press charges, the affidavit was very different from the original email. The email was violent abuse at the hands of cops. The original affidavit was more or less standard arrest with a few minor, that's a bit shady moments. There was not a single accusation of physical abuse, physical threatening, or in the official affidavit.
Okay.
In addition to that, there was a record of the police bringing Christian in for a medical exam at the local hospital the day of his arrest, towards the end, like at the end of the night. So after he allegedly spent all day being physically abused by the police, he was brought into the hospital. The doctor did not find any apparent physical injuries. All very strange, right? So the public was split in two different groups. One was saying, of course Christian would not say that in the official affidavit, because he's scared. He's probably being pressured by the cops right now. Guess who's investigating the cops? The cops! So yeah, I could see that. The doctor's probably in on it. You think the police just go to any random doctor? They probably go to ones that they can trust, especially if they've done something. This is all a massive cover-up. Then you had another group of netizens saying, I don't know. I think the whole Christian thing is weird. Some people were saying, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like a kid that's scared to tell their parents they got arrested and maybe made up a story to make it easier on them and didn't think that their parents would take it that far. So people were very split, but because of the public pressure and the due process, the trial continues on, and when the day of the trial comes around, Christian was a no-show. Not only is he a no-show for the trial, he just never follows back up or attends any of the court hearings related to this case ever again. So now again, you can have a group of the netizens saying, yeah, because he's intimidated, maybe the cops threatened him and that's why he's not showing up. The others are saying, yeah, well, I wouldn't show up either if I had lied or exaggerated a little bit. So regardless, in August of 2008, the case was officially dismissed due to failure to prosecute. But to the public, they still felt like this is fishy. Why would they dismiss it? There's something fishy going on. They're all protecting each other. So 2 new investigations were held simultaneously. So we've got 3 full investigations on this case. All the while, all 5 policemen were suspended without pay. And in all subsequent investigations and hearings, Christian was a no-show once again, which again is very unusual for the courts in the Philippines. One of the 2 subsequent investigations also dismissed this case because of the same reason, quote, failure to prosecute. So now there's just like this one more active
Not milk.
Where's my holster off? What thing's the holster? It's a chain, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sweet.
We haven't been here for fucking days, man. I didn't like it. Oh. But then again, it's only been like 2 of us or 3 of us, man. Yeah. Mainly me too.
What's this?
Just a pop-up shop for Valhalla. On Twitter.
Oh, what's it for? Wait, what, are you selling something or something?
No, I'm just buying cars. To those who don't want to go to Toledo.
Yeah, why'd you guys move to Toledo? That sucks.
I like Toledo.
Yeah, because then everyone has to go all the way up there.
And everything is there anyways.
Yeah, true.
Investigation occurring, and this was actually by an office that worked directly with the Philippines version of the White House. They primarily focused on official corruption, government officials, politicians, the police force. They did not need Christian to testify. In early 2009, Mendoza and the other officers were found guilty and were ordered to be dismissed from their positions. Every single one of them responded with a motion for reconsideration, which were ignored. So for a while, Mendoza had hope. I mean, he knew that he could straighten this out with the law. That's what his family said. He's like, no, I trust the due process. I'm just gonna file an appeal. They're gonna listen to what I have to say, and it's gonna make sense, and everything will be okay. Even though he had been suspended for nearly a year without pay, he was just fired, completely severing him from any pension. He was feeling very hopeful.
All of them are saying this never happened?
Yes. They're saying we arrested him, but we never physically abused him. You know, we didn't do any of that. We didn't force feed him. So what is he talking about? So he starts filing motion after motion, appeal after appeal. He even wrote handwritten grievance letters to the office to allow him and his co-accused to bring forth their defense. So this type of investigation was not really like a trial. They weren't allowed to testify. They weren't really allowed to give their side of the story. It was like an internal investigation. And they were like, yeah, it happened. Anyway, done. You're fired. Mendoza said, I'd given my life to the police force. I mean, my everything to the police force. Even my son is giving his life to the police force. My brother did the same thing. Please just listen to what I have to say. I mean, I have a relatively clean record for the past decade. Like, what is going on? According to those who knew Mendoza, it's not even the reversal of the decision he wanted. He just wanted a chance to a fair trial, to defend himself, give his side of the story, present his side of the evidence. That never happened. In fact, when he tried to file for an appeal, one of the officials asked him for money, basically tried to extort him in this whole case that was very centered around anti-corruption. They were like, yeah, I'll file the appeal if you give me $20,000. So this is a debate that has polarized the Philippines. I mean, he had accolades, character witnesses who were in law enforcement themselves. He had awards. He had a relatively clean history. He was, to some, an innocent man being framed by a corrupt system that doesn't advocate for their own. To some. That's what a lot thought. They were convinced that he was innocent, and others felt that he was very guilty. But none of that mattered because he was gonna do
Is that who I think it is?
Yeah.
You know, why do you use scuba gear here?
Because I just flew in.
Oh, I see.
How come you're doing a pop-up Valhalla store?
Because I have some city folk saying it's convenient. And there's too much workers up at Valhalla too, so I have a little bit more chance here, you know?
So what, you're just standing here and then you get one of them to drive it down?
So I just buy cars, honestly, and I'll just drive them. I'll just tow them all up there.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah. What are you up to?
Just flew in. Might go dive for a little bit, I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know what I feel like doing, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's not much going on. I did actually get to put my wide body in yesterday, which was nice, or this morning.
Nice.
So I should get that in a couple of days.
Yeah. Are you working?
No, days
Oh,
off.
nice. Nice.
Which is, yeah, very keen for right now.
How many days?
Till Friday.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
off tomorrow.
Ooh, very nice.
I had to work today though. I hate because I almost had an accident too. I was
Oh,
like, I
Jesus.
knew it was gonna happen. Like Mondays is just bad luck.
Monday's just not the day.
Not the day for me, no.
No, I feel ya.
Yeah.
What have you been up to?
Yeah. Mostly. Yeah, just trying to get KPI or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Fair enough, fair enough. I feel like I need to sleep like another 10 hours. God damn.
Did you just get up?
Yeah. I don't know. Something's going on. Don't feel right.
Ooh. What do you mean?
Mm.
What do you feel?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just tired. It's all good. Actually, what price would you give me for a Max 100 530D wagon? No brakes.
530D.
Mm-hmm.
Our offer for that is 840.
814.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna go.
I'll let you know. I might go drop it off at CMG.
I'm gonna go ahead and end this.
Oh, how many more purchases? Sales, like, yeah, purchases do you need?
Huh?
How many more purchases do you
These
need?
things are ballistic.
I'm going to, just give me a moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna go ahead and raid, Broken AU. Love the guy. He was my inspiration to coming to FDG. Till next time, guys. I'm gonna end this here. Need a break. Probably stream tomorrow again. Bye. I wish there was other FDG cameras, but at the moment there's none, so.